Chapter 5606. Genius 1 second. Remember love? Go. TalkNet, providing you with wonderful novels to read. Lin Yi stared dumbfoundedly at little E in front of him. Lin Yi was the clearest about little Yi's strength before. He was trash on Heaven Island, and the worst kind of trash. But now? After Yu Taizong successfully took over the body, he directly advanced to the Yuanian great perfection. What's going on? Why does the strength of the spirit directly promote the strength of the physical body? And the gap is so big, but there is no hindrance in advancing? Lin Yi really did not expect such a situation to occur. Just now, he wanted to tell Yu Taizong that the strength of this physical body was low and that he needed to slowly cultivate himself to return to the peak. Love Go Little Talk Net Ku. As a result, in the blink of an eye, Yu Taizong had already returned to the peak. Yu Taizong moved his hands and feet with a face full of joy. Obviously, he was very satisfied with his new body. After hearing Lin Yi's words, he immediately stepped forward and cupped his fists. Yu Taizong pays respect to Master. In fact, Master doesn't have to be surprised. Our ancient small Jianghu has always focused on the cultivation of the divine sense. Breaking through realms is also driven by the divine sense. So after taking over the body, the strength of the physical body will quickly be on par with the strength of the divine sense. Lin Yi suddenly understood. Indeed, the cultivation method of the ancient small Jianghu was completely different from that of Heaven Island, so Lin Yi did not react for a moment. But saying so, Lin Yi suddenly thought of his own situation. After coming to the ancient small Jianghu, Lin Yi's spirit level also had a breakthrough. If according to what Yu Taizong said, did it not mean that his main body on Heaven Island would also have a breakthrough because of this? The more Lin Yi thought about it, the more he felt that it was possible. He was secretly happy in his heart. He originally thought that the time his main body spent on cultivation was wasted. He did not expect that there would be such an unexpected harvest. Compared to the real cultivation on Heaven Island, the speed was not the slightest bit slower. But this matter was only Lin Yi's guess. Since there was no way to verify it, it was best to put it aside for now. Right now, the main task was to find the central location, get Yu Taizong out, and then give him little one's physical body to possess. It was all for this matter. Yu Taizong clearly hadn't forgotten about this matter. After giving Lin Yi a simple explanation, he continued, Master, the place Xue Jianfeng brought this old servant to should be the Middle Island's Ke Luo Mountain. However, this old servant doesn't remember the specific location. I'll need to search for it again. After seizing the body, Yu Taizong had indeed sensed Lin Yi's control over this puppet's corporeal body. There was no need for Lin Yi to display it. Yu Taizong also knew that Lin Yi was not speaking nonsense. His life and death was really between Lin Yi's thoughts. Therefore, Yu Taizong straightforwardly straightened out his position, calling Lin Yi master over and over again. He also considered himself as an old servant. Although Lin Yi found it a little strange when he heard it, he didn't have any intention of correcting it. Anyway, in this small ancient Jianghu, this kind of master-servant relationship was everywhere. It wouldn't attract other people's attention. Love Go Little Say Neku. Since that's the case, make a trip to Ke Luo Mountain and find that place. But this time, you must pay attention to concealment. Don't let anyone discover your whereabouts, so as not to beat the grass and alert the snake. Lin Yi didn't mention the matter of the sea beasts afterwards, only repeatedly exhorting Yu Taizong not to expose himself. Yu Taizong bowed and said, Yes, Master. This old servant will definitely pay attention to concealment and absolutely won't ruin Master's matter. Moreover, this old servant's appearance has completely changed now. Ordinary people won't notice this old servant. Lin Yi looked at Yu Taizong's current appearance. Indeed, no one would think that he was Yu Taizong. But wearing the face of little one, calling him Yu Taizong was a little strange. How about this, you don't use the name Yu Taizong in the future. Just change your name to Yu Yi. This body's previous owner was called Little One. Now that you have changed your name to Yu Yi, it can be considered that the two of you have been reborn together. Looking at this familiar face, Lin Yi inexplicably thought of old ancestor Xianchen. He didn't know how this old man was now. Yu Yi bowed and said, "This old servant Yu Yi thanks master for bestowing a name." Then, will this old servant set off for Ke Luo Mountain now? Wait. Lin Yi raised his hand to stop Yu Yi, and then said, "You came from Snow Sword faction. I have some Snow Sword faction's mental cultivation method and martial skills here. Listen to them and figure them out on the way. It can improve your strength. You are originally at the Yuanying stage. If you can comprehend the mental cultivation method and martial skills I gave you, you can be considered to be at the top of the Yuanying stage." "Thank you, master." Yu Yi was pleasantly surprised. Originally, he had no choice but to become a slave of Lin Yi in order to be reborn. But now that Lin Yi gave him the mental cultivation method and martial skills of Snow Sword faction, it was equivalent to directly improving his strength. This immediately made Yu Yi feel a lot better. One must know that Yu Yi was originally a person who would do anything to pursue strength. Lin Yi's approach directly hit his weakness. His loyalty to Lin Yi also increased a lot. Lin Yi didn't care. This originally belonged to Snow Sword faction. Giving it to Yu Yi was a very normal thing. Moreover, Yu Yi was a person who would never betray him. Improving Yu Yi's strength was equivalent to improving the strength of Lin Yi's group. It would be strange if he didn't do such a good thing. After passing on the missing mental cultivation method and martial skills of Snow Sword faction to Yu Yi, the flying spirit beast had already entered the coastal area. The sea beast's riot had begun to calm down. It should be that the sea serpent had obtained the consent of the sea beast king and temporarily suppressed the sea beast's riot. So when they reached the coastal area, there were almost no sea beasts in the sea. After flying for another half an hour, the coastline of the ancient mountain was already in sight. Lin Yi directly transformed into his soul state and flew up. He said to Yu Yi, "Let's part here. Ride this flying spirit beast and immediately go to Ke Luo Mountain to investigate. If you find anything, don't act rashly. Immediately come back and inform me. I want results in 2 days, understand?" "Yes, master." Yu Yi understands. Hearing Yu Yi call himself an old slave, Lin Yi finally got tired of it. So on the way back, he asked him to change it. This time, it really sounded much more comfortable. After Yu Yi changed direction and quickly disappeared into the horizon, Lin Yi flew back to the coastline. Although his speed was not as fast as the flying spirit beast, it was not slow. Within the range of his vision, flying back was still very fast. Huh? Why are these 4 fellows together? Halfway through his flight, Lin Yi's divine sense discovered 4 people lying on the beach in the distance, panting heavily. Moreover, he knew all of them. 2 of them were Chu clans Chu Yuntian and Chu Yunting. The other 2 were from the Everyday and Everyday sect. They had chased after Duanmuyu before, but were later let go by Lin Yi. Chapter 5607. Genius 1 second. Remember, if you want to go. TalkNet, providing you with wonderful novels to read. If it was only the 2 from the Everyday and Everyday sect, Lin Yi might not care, but the 2 from the Chu family were there. Lin Yi would definitely not ignore them, so he slightly adjusted his direction and directly flew over. Love go small TalkNet cool, are you guys okay? After flying to the coast, Lin Yi transformed back into his primordial spirit body, slowly landed in front of the 4, and asked faintly. Master Lin. When Chu Yuntian and Chu Yunting saw Lin Yi appear, they were both surprised and happy, and hurriedly struggled to get up and cupped their fists to salute. The 2 from the Everyday and Everyday sect, on the other hand, felt a little awkward when they saw Lin Yi. After all, they'd been taught a lesson by Lin Yi before. Although he'd let them go in the end, meeting him again under these circumstances would only make them feel more embarrassed. They wanted to get up and salute Lin Yi, but their injuries were much more serious than the 2 from the Chu family. After moving a few times, they couldn't get up, so they could only smile awkwardly and say weakly, "Greetings, Senior Lin." Lin Yi waved his hand, indicating that they didn't need to be so polite, and then checked the injuries of the 4 people. The 2 from the Chu family were fine, probably because they had eaten the highest grade recover pill. Although it was still a little serious, it was no problem for them to keep their lives. As for the 2 from the everyday sect, their injuries were a little more serious. If they didn't have the highest grade recover pill, they probably wouldn't have made it today. "Master Lin, we encountered a sea beast riot near the coast." Although most of the sea beasts were at the foundation stage, there were some at the golden core stage, so it was very difficult to deal with them. It wasn't easy for us to hold on until the sea beast riot was over, and then we escaped back. Chu Yuntian explained the current situation to Lin Yi with a look of lingering fear. Lin Yi nodded. It was fate that these 4 were able to help each other in times of crisis. What was even more rare was that when there were only 2 flying spirit beasts, they still didn't give up. This made Lin Yi think of them a lot. "The 5th grade recover pill has been used up?" Lin Yi asked casually. He had given the Chu family a lot of 5th grade recover pills. If Chu Yuntian still didn't take them out at this time, Lin Yi's impression of him would be greatly reduced. Chu Yuntian smiled bitterly and said, "Fortunately, Master Lin gave us the highest grade recover pill, so the 4 of us had a chance to persevere to the end. Otherwise, we would have long become snacks for the sea beasts. Unfortunately, after this sea beast riot, our pills were also used up. That's why the 2 fellow Taoists from the everyday sect suffered such heavy injuries that we couldn't treat." Hearing Chu Yuntian say this, Lin Yi was relieved. At least at this critical moment, Chu Yuntian didn't make a low-level selfish mistake. In fact, if Lin Yi wanted to treat the 4's injuries, he didn't need to spend too much qi. However, Lin Yi didn't want to casually expose the secret of his qi, so he simply took out 4 highest grade recover pills and gave 1 to each of them. In any case, with Lin Yi's spiritual medicine reserves, he could refine as many as he wanted. The 2 from the Chu family were fine. They were used to Lin Yi's generosity, but the 2 from the everyday sect were different. This was a life-saving pill. Moreover, the 2 of them had chased after Lin Yi's confidant, Duan Muyu. They were grateful that Lin Yi didn't care about it. Now, Lin Yi took out a 5th grade recover pill to save them. This made them want to repay Lin Yi with their lives. "Thank you, Senior Lin, for saving our lives." After taking the recover pill, the 2 immediately felt their injuries begin to heal quickly. It was indeed worthy of being called a top-grade pill. This effect was indescribable. Therefore, they immediately thanked Lin Yi. Lin Yi waved his hand and said with a faint smile, "It's nothing. You 2 heal your injuries first, we'll talk about it later." The 2 gratefully nodded and no longer spoke. They went all out to refine the pills to heal their injuries. After a while, the 4 of them finished healing. They got up one by one and thanked Lin Yi again. "Senior Lin, you've let bygones be bygones this time and saved the lives of me, Huang Liantong, and junior brother Qin Wujiu. We have no way to repay you. From now on, the everyday sect will be under your control. If you need our help, just say the word. We will definitely go through fire and water for you." Huang Liantong, who was at the early nascent soul stage, acted like a retard when he was chasing after Duanmuyu, but he was definitely not stupid. After seeing Lin Yi's strength, Huang Liantong already had the idea of building a good relationship with Lin Yi. This time, Lin Yi saved their lives, so he immediately seized the opportunity and made the decision to completely lean towards Lin Yi. In the first round, the 2 big shots of the everyday sect were finished. Huang Liantong just happened to reach nascent soul stage at this time. Together with Qin Wujiu, the 2 of them were basically the decision-makers of the everyday sect. As long as they decided, the matter would be settled. Lin Yi smiled faintly and casually exchanged a few words with Huang Liantong and Qin Wujiu. This was a pleasant surprise. 2 5th-grade great cyclic pills were enough to subdue the everyday sect. It was truly a bargain. Although Lin Yi did not think much of the everyday and everyday sect, it was still a good thing that they had taken the initiative to submit. Thinking about it carefully, among the 10 small sects, including the everyday and everyday sect, they seemed to be leaning towards Jadian's sect or Lin Yi's side. In this case, it would be even easier to challenge the Big Four. After becoming one of the Big Four, Jadian's sect's authority would instantly reach the peak. If not for the matter of the center capturing the blue flood dragon, the royal sea beast, Lin Yi felt that this trip to the endless sea could definitely be considered a perfect ending with a great harvest. Unfortunately, with the center stirring up shit, Lin Yi really could not be happy. This time, the endless sea beast riot caused the second round of the competition to be unable to proceed normally. Let's all go back to the ruined town and just end the second round of the competition like this. Lin Yi wanted to end the immemorial grand meeting as soon as possible so that he could spare some time to deal with the matters of the center, so he suggested this to the four of them. Although it was not a commanding tone, Lin Yi's position in the hearts of the four of them was obviously not the same as before. Hearing Lin Yi's words, they did not have any objections and directly nodded in agreement. To be honest, although the sea beast riot had subsided, for the time being, they were still a little hesitant to hunt the sea beasts again. Going back was the logical thing to do. The four of them sat on 2 flying spirit beasts, which was barely enough. Lin Yi could only continue to fly by himself in the state of primordial spirit. Chapter 5608. Genius in a second. Remember love go away? The internet provides you with wonderful novels to read. In this sea beast riot, none of the 20 people who participated in the competition died. It was a miracle. As for the people from the Qingquan sect and the 5 Elements sect, they didn't participate in the competition. Therefore, they didn't count their deaths in the competition. Seeing that Lin Yi and the others had returned, the undefeated immemorial Bing Wuqing and the others who had escaped from the island immediately gathered around and greeted Lin Yi. Even Xianijie could not squeeze in, so he could only wait with a smile on his face. Calamity and Ma Zayden, on the other hand, looked as if their parents had died. Their eyes were filled with deep resentment as they looked at Lin Yi, who was surrounded by people. The soul jade of the people they sent out had been shattered, and Lin Yi's group was still alive and kicking. Was there a need to ask what had happened? After a while, Lin Yi broke away from the crowd's concern. He stepped forward and said to the 4 representatives on the high platform, "There was a sea beast rampage in the endless sea, so there's no need to wait for 3 days for the second round. After our discussion, we've all agreed to end the second round in advance. Please begin to check the scores of each group." Tribulation Crossing Sage and Ma Zayden looked at each other and saw deep fear in each other's eyes. 10 small groups discussed together. Why didn't anyone come to inform them? Not to mention the Shangguan clan sects, these 2 clan sects didn't even bother to notify them, and directly reached an agreement with the other sections. This kind of situation wasn't good at all. Could it be that the 10 small groups were ready to join the Shangguan clan? Shangguan Qingyun laughed and stood up. "Since the 10 small groups have agreed, then let's do it. After all, there's nothing we can do about the sea beast rampage. It's a ranking competition for you 10 small groups. As long as you don't have any objections, everything is negotiable." Tribulation Crossing Sage looked at Shangguan Qingyun with hatred. Did this bastard think he was the leader of the 4 big groups? He was speaking on behalf of the 4 big groups. But Shangguan Qingyun was right. Since the 10 small groups had made a joint decision, they had no reason to interfere. They could only acquiesce to the result. The great elder of Ruins Town walked out and interrupted Shangguan Qingyun, saying, "Since that's the case, then take out all your gains. After counting, we'll convert them into points and add them to your ranking." Primordial Invincible and Bing Wuqing and the others walked out without a word, each carrying a huge bag and placing it on the table. Everyone had been guessing what Primordial Invincible and the others had brought back with them. Some had guessed that it was beast cores, but such a large bag of beast cores was just too shocking. And it wasn't just one bag, there were 12 of them. No one dared to guess that it was beast cores. Unexpectedly, they really took out the 12 big bags. When they opened them, those who did not go to the endless sea were all stunned. Then, they felt like they were going crazy. 12 bags of Foundation Establishment Stage C Beast inner cores were already shocking enough, but there weren't many Foundation Establishment Stage C Beast inner cores here. Most of them were Golden Core Stage C Beast inner cores, and there were many Nascent Soul Stage C Beast inner cores. Since when did Nascent Soul and Golden Core C Beast inner cores become cabbages on the roadside? You can harvest as much as you want. Seeing that even the representatives of the 4 big groups were shocked, Lin Yi smiled faintly and said, "The Sea Beast inner cores here were obtained by the 10 small groups working together to fight against the Sea Beast rampage. Therefore, these inner cores will be divided equally among the 10 of us." As soon as he said that, everyone was in an uproar. Primordial Invincible was stunned at first, then he stepped forward and said, "No way." Sage Overcoming Calamity and Ma Zayden were overjoyed. They thought that Lin Yi's plan had crossed Primordial Invincible's bottom line, causing Primordial Invincible to make things difficult for Lin Yi. In that case, they didn't mind moving a bench to sit down and enjoy the show. As soon as Primordial Invincible came out, Bing Wuqing, Zhou Baixiang, and the others voiced their opposition. However, their reasons made Sage Overcoming Calamity and Ma Zayden's faces darken. "Master Lin, more than 90% of these inner cores were obtained by you. How can you divide them equally among the 10 small groups? We will never agree to this plan. How about this, the quantity will be converted into points in the end. Master Lin, you can take 90% of them, and the remaining 10% will be divided equally among the 9 of us. If you still don't agree, then we'd rather not have these inner cores." Primordial Invincible put forward his plan resolutely, as if there was no room for negotiation. Bing Wuqing and the others also expressed their support. As for the sects that didn't participate in the defense of the island, they didn't have any objections either. Lin Yi thought that this was not a problem. Anyway, they had the same points, which meant that there would be no competition in the second round, so there was nothing wrong with this. As for the 90% of the inner cores, he could use it to complete the agreement with the Spirit Eater beasts. Alright, then let's forget about it. Anyway, no matter how many inner cores there are only so many points. Lin Yi said with a smile. Seeing their performance, Lin Yi was very satisfied. At least it meant that the 10 small groups had begun to treat the Blue Cloud sect as their leader. After a short while, the inner cores were counted. The people from Ruin Town said in a trembling voice, "All the inner cores, there are a total of 2,125. Among them, there are 181 Nascent Soul inner cores, 1,628 Golden Core inner cores, and the rest are Foundation Building inner cores. As for the early, middle, and late stages, there was no need to report them. Such a harvest had never appeared before, not even a fraction of it. More than 2,000 inner cores of sea beasts, but only 10% of them were Foundation Building inner cores. In fact, the number of Foundation Building inner cores was only slightly more than that of Nascent Soul inner cores. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, no one would have believed it. With this batch of inner cores of sea beasts, how many Golden Core and Nascent Soul experts would be born in the primordial underworld? It wasn't an exaggeration to say that this batch of inner cores represented a prosperous era for the primordial underworld. When there were more experts, the number of inner cores of sea beasts hunted would increase, and more experts would be born. Chapter 5609. In this mode, it seemed that the sect that contributed the most inner dawn would get the most, but in fact, it would only get 22%, which was much less than asking others for alchemy. The 5 Elements sect could also get 1/5 of the elixirs. Although it didn't seem to be as much as the usual income from alchemy, all the materials were provided by other sects, and the final number of the elixirs was decided by the 5 Elements sect. Therefore, it was possible for the 5 Elements sect to keep half of the elixirs. In previous years, it was not a big deal. After all, there were only a few inner dawn of sea beasts. But this time, there was a huge amount of inner dawn. Ma Zayden could already see the 5 Elements sect taking off completely and becoming the #1 sect in the ancient small world. Sage Du Jia looked at the pile of inner cores and nodded. Since the 10 of you have decided, the Blue Cloud sect will get 10 points this time. The other sects will be tied for second place and get 9 points at the same time. The real-time ranking will not change. Like Ma Zayden, Sage Crossing Tribulation also wanted to finish this matter as soon as possible, and then let the 5 Elements sect refine the elixirs. Now that the Qiankuan sect and the 5 Elements sect had become allies, the Qiankuan sect would definitely get a share of this batch of elixirs. As for the specific distribution, they needed to discuss it. The great elder of the ruins town glanced at Sage Crossing Tribulation. Since Sage Crossing Tribulation had spoken, he could only give up the right to speak. After Sage Crossing Tribulation hastily announced the real-time ranking, he immediately pointed to the pile of Inner Dawn and said, according to the previous rules, the Inner Dawn obtained from sea beasts will be given to the 5 Elements sect to refine elixirs, and then distributed. This time is no exception. Pack up these Inner Dawn and send them to the 5 Elements sect. Wait. Chu Yuntian suddenly stopped him loudly. More than 90% of these Inner Dawn belong to Master Lin. Why should they be given to the 5 Elements sect for alchemy? What a joke. Master Lin is a top-notch alchemist. Most of the elixirs refined by him are of top-notch quality. Compared to the 5 Elements sect, the success rate of his elixirs is much higher. Letting such a great master hand over the inner core to the 5 Elements sect is simply a big joke. Lin Yi secretly nodded. This time, Chu Yuntian was very perceptive and came out to speak for him in advance. Zhou Baixiang saw that this was a rare opportunity. Although he didn't know about Lin Yi's alchemy ability, since Chu Yuntian said so, of course he would follow up and support him, so Zhou Baixiang also said righteously, yes. If Master Lin isn't an alchemist, then it doesn't matter if we hand it over to the 5 Elements sect. However, the problem is that Master Lin is an even more powerful alchemist than the 5 Elements sect. Looking for the 5 Elements sect would be an unnecessary move. We, the Yinyun sect, also believe that we shouldn't follow the rules this time. Du Jiezhenren really wanted to kill people this time. The Yinyun sect was a sect under the Qinkuan sect. Was it really good to go against the Qinkuan sect? Without waiting for the tribulation-conquering sage to digest the news that the Yinyun sect had indeed betrayed them, Bing Wuqing said coldly, the Snow Sword sect agrees with the Chu clan. 2 consecutive strikes. Although the Snow Sword sect already had the intention to rebel, it was still a nominal sect under the Qiankuan sect, so it didn't hesitate to stab them in the back. The Okuda clan also agrees with the Chu clan. After the Snow Sword sect, the Okuda clan also followed up. 3 consecutive critical strikes. The tribulation-conquering sage almost couldn't hold back his blood. His face turned red, but he couldn't say anything. The Qiankuan sect only had 3 sects in total. This time, all of them were standing against him. This was so embarrassing that the tribulation-conquering sage was considering whether it would be better to just pass out. Ma Zayden cast a comforting look at the tribulation-conquering sage. In fact, he was a little gloating in his heart. After all, they were old rivals for so many years. However, when he thought that the inner core that he was about to obtain might be gone just like that, his mood immediately became bad. Then, Ma Zayden's mood directly changed from bad to very bad, and then to extremely bad, because the 2 sects under the 5 Elements sect, the Everyday sect and the Evil Warding sect, also stood up and expressed their support for the Chu clan's proposal. This is really... Ma Zayden wanted to curse, he wanted to vomit blood, he wanted to faint, and he wanted to say to the tribulation-conquering sage, brother, I understand your pain. In the end, the 10 small sects unanimously expressed that the inner core of the sea beast couldn't be handed over to the 5 Elements sect, but should be handled by Lin Yi himself. As for the elixirs that were refined, they said that they would rather not get those elixirs. A bunch of lunatics. The tribulation-conquering sage cursed in his heart. In the end, he could only resist the urge to vomit blood, and slowly said, let's put this matter aside for the time being. Anyway, it's not urgent. At the end of the distant ancient grand meeting, when the 4 major sects finish ranking, the 4 major sects will vote to decide where the inner core will go. That's it. The tribulation-conquering sage knew that if the 10 small sects were to decide, there was no hope at all. He could only pin his hope on the final decision of the 4 major sections. As long as they entered the voting process of the 4 major sects, the Qianquan sect and the 5 Elements sect would immediately have 2 votes, and they would be in an invincible position. Then, they could lobby the Enlightened Heavens faction to join them, and the matter would be settled. Compared with Lin Yi handling the inner core, the Enlightened Heavens faction might not get any benefits. At least, if the 5 Elements sect refined the inner core, the Enlightened Heavens faction could get a lot of elixirs. After all, the number of inner cores this time was large enough. Even if it was only 7%, it was quite a considerable amount. Wei Feng, find someone to collect the inner cores first. Lin Yi turned his head and said to Jin Wei Feng. These inner cores were originally obtained by Lin Yi, so he had nothing to be embarrassed about. Lin Yi didn't care about the 4 major sects voting at all. With so many inner cores, it was enough to exchange with the spirit-eating beast clan for the next 3 to 4 years of mining quota. Of course, Lin Yi wouldn't exchange all of them. After all, in the future, the small Jianghu in the ancient times would have to handle this matter by themselves. They couldn't always rely on Lin Yi. The remaining inner cores were still used by Lin Yi to study alchemy. Without Han Jingjing, the research would still be needed. After the tribulation-conquering sage finished speaking, he signaled the great elder of the ruins town to continue. He was in a bad mood and didn't want to talk anymore. The great elder of the ruins town nodded and turned to the 10 small sects and said, "Next, the 3rd round of the ranking of the 10 small sects will be carried out to determine the final score. Now, the Blue Cloud sect is ranked first with 20 points, but the last place also has 10 points. So, this 3rd round is quite crucial. Any of the sects can reverse the situation and reach the top. Please seize this opportunity." Because the 9 sects all had 9 points in the 2nd round, the difference in points did not widen. The great elder of the ruins town took this opportunity to sow discord a little, hoping that the Blue Cloud sect would become the target of public criticism. Unfortunately, he still didn't see the situation clearly. The Blue Cloud sect had already become the leader of the 10 small sections. No matter how he tried to sow discord, it would have no effect. Chapter 56:10. The 3rd round is a real competition of strength. It is still the original infant stage, golden core stage, and foundation establishment stage. 2 wins will be enough. At the beginning, the opponents will be decided by drawing lots. The winners will advance to the top 5, and the losers will fight for the 6th to 10th place. The great elder of the ruins town said slowly. At the same time, he paid attention to the reactions of the 10 small families. What surprised him was that the 10 small families were all very calm. The rules were not fair. 1 round decided the points of the top 5 or the top 10. The uncertainty was too high. Since no one responded, the great elder of the ruins town could only continue slowly, 5 to 3, it is still drawing lots. 1 family gets a bye, and the one that gets a bye, if there is a challenge from the loser of the 5 to 3, it must accept the challenge. After the top 3 are decided, we will continue to draw lots. 3 to 2, the rules are the same. The loser has a chance to challenge the loser to decide whether or not to enter the finals. Finally, it is the finals. The rules for the bottom 5 are the same as the top 5. Is there a problem? Lin Yi turned his head and looked at the people of the 10 small families. He said lightly, "The rules are unfair, but it doesn't matter. I hope that everyone will stop when the time is right. There will be no unnecessary injuries. If anyone deliberately wants to kill the other, then we will deal with it later. Senior Lin, don't worry. We all know what we are doing. Master Lin, don't worry. We are all on the same side. We will definitely not kill each other." The 10 small sects all agreed readily. None of them were idiots. The current situation was that the Green Cloud sect wasn't one of the 4 big sects yet, but they had already unified the 10 small sections. Since they were comrades in the same pit, it would be too stupid of them to kill. Did they really think that Lin Yi wouldn't kill? The Grand Elder of Ruins Town was speechless. No one listened to him at all, but one word from Lin Yi had everyone responding to him. Comparisons were odious, and goods had to be thrown away. Sage Du Jia and Ma Zedong looked at each other. They felt powerless. They really could not understand how Lin Yi had subdued all the 10 small families in such a short time. In comparison, the 2 of them, the Big 4, were so weak. And this time, even the Enlightening Heavens faction was a little unhappy. Lin Yi had now become the one who set the rules, and the Big 4 were almost non-existent. No matter how neutral the Enlightening Heavens faction was, they were still one of the Big 4. It was normal for them to have some thoughts. After the results were out, Jadian's opponent for the top 5 was the Everyday sect. When Huang Liantong drew Jadian's opponent, not only was he not dejected, he shouted with a joyful expression, "Our Everyday sect admits defeat." Huang Liantong must be the first one to admit defeat so happily and confidently, right? The other 4 groups, on the other hand, didn't have any surrenders. They were all normal fights, but after Lin Yi had set the tone, everyone was friendly. No one really wanted to risk their lives. After an hour, the top 5 had all been decided. Aside from the Blue Cloud School, the Snow Sword School was the first to qualify for the top 5, followed by the Thousand Blades School. This school only had 2 people, but they did not even make it to the top 10. They had already made it to the top 5 of the top 10. Their points were already second, so if they won one more match, they would definitely be in the top 3 of the top 10. Yiling's sect eliminated Okuda clan and entered the top 5. But in Lin Yi's view, Okuda clan should be giving face to Lin Yi and Duanmuyu, so they let Yiling's sect advance. Regarding this kind of behavior, Lin Yi had nothing to say. The last spot was actually taken by Evil Warding sect. They eliminated Soaring Sky sect and entered the top 5. Next was a new round of drawing lots. In the draw for the top 3, Jadian's sect had a bye. This made the other 4 sects feel relieved. After all, if they drew Jadian's sect, they basically admitted defeat. There was nothing much to say. Now, it was a 2-on-2 battle, and everyone spoke with their strength. Those who lost didn't have to waste time to challenge those who had a bye. It could be said that this was the best result. Snow Sword sect against Yiling's sect, Thousand Blades sect against Evil Warding sect. After a few exciting but not intense battles, Snow Sword sect and Thousand Blades sect joined hands and entered the top 3. This time, Duanmuyu's face was useless. Snow Sword sect gave Duanmuyu face, but what about Leng Leng? For the top 3 battles, Thousand Blades sect has a bye. Snow Sword sect against Jadian sect. The Great Elder of Ruins Town announced the results of the draw coldly. He could see that whether Jadian's sect had a bye or not, the result would be the same. If they wanted Snow Sword sect or Thousand Blades sect to attack Jadian sect, they might as well hope that pigs could climb up trees. As expected, after Snow Sword sect had drawn lots, they admitted defeat. They also didn't challenge the Thousand Blades sect, who had a bye, and got the 3rd place directly. In fact, Bing Wuqing already had the strength of a nascent soul-perfected cultivator. Although she had just broken through, and her foundation wasn't as strong as the invincible Immemorial sect, she still had a high chance of winning against the Thousand Blades sect for the 2nd place. The problem was, what would happen after she defeated Thousand Blades sect? Would she admit defeat to Jadian sect again? Even if Hong Yuanqing was willing to do such a boring thing, Bing Wuqing wouldn't agree. Anyway, Thousand Blades sect was also on the same side. This little difference didn't matter. So in the end, what should have been the fiercest fight for the top 3 and the final fight, ended without a fight after Snow Sword sect admitted defeat and gave up on challenging the Thousand Blades sect. Then, Thousand Blades sect admitted defeat, and Jadian sect reached the top without fighting a single battle, Such a competition might not be unprecedented, but it was definitely unprecedented, because no one had ever heard of such a thing happening in the archaic grand meeting. Sage Du Jia and Ma Zayden's faces were livid. They muttered softly, so shameless. The archaic grand meeting is about to become a farce. In fact, both of them were already panicking. Jadian's sect had reached the top of the 10 minor in such an unstoppable manner. Needless to say, their next step was to challenge the Big Four. To put it bluntly, challenging the Big Four was actually challenging Qinkuan's sect and Five Elements sect. However, both of them had no confidence in facing Jadian's sect's challenge. In the past, when Lin Yi wasn't around, if Jadian's sect dared to challenge them, Qinkuan's sect and Five Elements sect wouldn't even bat an eye at them. They would just slap them to death. But now, they were worried that they would be slapped to death by Lin Yi. There weren't many disturbances in the ranking competition after that. It all ended peacefully. The great elder of Ruins Town announced with a sullen face, "The ranking competition of the 10 minor has ended." After 3 rounds of comprehensive competition, Jadian's sect is ranked first with 30 points. Thousand Blades sect is ranked second with 27 points. Snow Sword sect is ranked third with 25 points. Chapter 56:11. According to the previous rules, the first place of the top 10 had the right to challenge the Big Four directly. The second and third place had the right to substitute for the challenge. Just like before, only if the first place succeeded in the challenge, could the second place have the chance to continue the challenge. If the second place succeeded, then it would be the third place's turn. From the fourth place onwards, they didn't even have the right to substitute for the challenge. No matter what happened before, they had nothing to do with it. If the first place of the top 10 failed the challenge, then the others wouldn't have the right to challenge anymore. What was different from the top 10 challenges was that there was no such thing as using spiritual jades to participate in the challenge of the Big Four. If the first place failed the challenge, then the challenge of the Big Four would completely end. After the great elder of the Ruins Town announced the ranking of the top 10, he looked back at Tribulation Immortal and continued, "The ranking of the top 10 has ended. The immemorial grand meeting will rest for a day. After a day, the challenge between the top 10 and the Big Four will continue. The rules will be announced then. Everyone, go back and rest." Lin Yi frowned slightly. He wanted to end the immemorial grand meeting as soon as possible and then join the sea beasts to find trouble with the center. Although there was still no news from Yu, the immemorial grand meeting could not be delayed like this. Xianijia happened to see Lin Yi's expression. Although he didn't go to the Endless Sea to participate in the battle on the island, Jin Weifeng had told Xianijia about it in detail. Even if he didn't know about the agreement between Lin Yi and the sea beasts, he knew that Lin Yi was now dissatisfied with the Big Four's delay. So after the great elder of the Ruins Town finished speaking, Xianijia directly said, "Why do we need to rest for a day? As the new leader of the top 10, we can challenge the Big Four now. As for rest, we will have plenty of time to rest after the immemorial grand meeting. Please start the challenge of the Big Four immediately." As the new leader of the 10 small sects, Qingyun sect, the weight of Xianijia's words was no longer the same as before. If Xianijia had said this in the past, no one would have paid attention to him. After all, it was not a big deal to wait for another day. However, now that Xianijia had said this, a few sects immediately expressed their support. Especially the Thousand Blades faction and the Snow Sword faction. After the Blue Clouds faction won the challenge, it would be their turn. Since Xianijia said this, of course they would support him. Anyway, they didn't spend much effort in the ranking competition. "How dare you? Do you have the final say in the Primeval Assembly? This is the rules set by the Big Four. If anyone doesn't want to abide by it, they can leave the 10 small ones immediately," shouted the first elder of the Ruins Town. His face was filled with rage. However, in the eyes of the crowd, it was clear that he was putting on a brave front. Lin Yi sneered and said, "The rules set by the Big Four? All right, we will abide by the rules." But don't let me find out that someone doesn't follow the rules. When the time comes, perhaps it'll be time to form a new Big Four. If it wasn't for the trouble, Lin Yi could have just left the Qinkuan sect and the Five Elements sect and formed the Big Four and 10 small ones by himself. After all, the 10 small ones were all under Lin Yi's control, and so was the Shangguan clan. The Enlightening Heavens faction was neutral, but in other words, they were fence-sitters. Seeing how strong Lin Yi's side was, they would probably join his side. Lin Yi said this to warn the Qinkuan sect and the Five Elements sect not to play any tricks in the dark. Lin Yi could afford to wait for one day. After all, no matter how fast Yi was, he would need some time to come back after his investigation. Therefore, Lin Yi didn't want to waste any more time on this. It wouldn't be too late to end the primeval assembly tomorrow. Tribulation Crossing Master and Ma Zayden snorted and didn't say anything. They turned around and left. Qida looked at Lin Yi thoughtfully, smiled and followed them. Only Shangguan Qinyun ran over with a smile. She first congratulated Lin Yi and Xianijia, then chatted with them for a while before chasing after Tribulation Crossing Master and the other two. Shangguan Qinyun definitely had to attend the meeting of the Big Four, in case they came up with any bad ideas. She wouldn't be able to get the news in advance if she wasn't present. Everyone, do you have any opinion on the Big Four challenge competition? The four of them came to a secret room and sat down. Tribulation Crossing Master said with a gloomy face. Ma Zayden sneered and said, "What opinion can I have? Everyone has seen the strength of the Blue Cloud sect. In the past, we have always been in an offensive and defensive alliance, not allowing new sects and families to be promoted. Will it still be the same this time?" While speaking, Ma Zayden turned around and stared at Shangguan Qinyun. Obviously, the Shangguan family was the black sheep among the Big Four, so it was a joke to talk about an offensive and defensive alliance. Shangguan Qinyun smiled and nodded at Ma Zayden, completely ignoring the hatred in the latter's eyes. That expression of, "I like to see you hate me but can't get rid of me," made Ma Zayden even angrier, but there was nothing she could do. Qida picked up the tea that was just served and took a sip. Then, he said slowly, "The challenge from the Blue Cloud sect is unavoidable. The question is, which sect will the Blue Cloud sect challenge? Our Heaven's Awakening faction seems to have a high chance of winning, but unfortunately, the most powerful person in the Heaven's Awakening faction is me. We don't have Sage Du Nan, the #1 nascent soul cultivator in our faction, so the possibility of us being defeated is very high." Tribulation Crossing Master snorted and said, "Elder Qi, you are too modest. As long as you are not blind, you can see that the Blue Cloud sect will not challenge your Heaven's Awakening faction. Instead, our Qinkuan sect has the highest chance of winning. Sage Du Nan has been cultivating in seclusion. Although he has received my notice, I don't know if he can get here tomorrow. Elder Qi, are you prepared to see our Qinkuan sect become a joke?" Tribulation Crossing Master, you are being too serious. Qida quickly waved his hand and said with a smile, "Although there is competition between the four big sects, we are all in the same boat. Even if the Blue Cloud sect challenges the Qinkuan sect, do you think our Heaven's Awakening faction will have a good life after they get promoted?" Tribulation Crossing Master's face looked a little better. Although Qida's words seemed to imply that the Blue Cloud sect would definitely succeed in challenging the Qinkuan sect, in fact, he thought so in his heart, so he did not express any displeasure about it. "Forget it, I don't think we can come out of this discussion. Let's disperse first," Ma Zayden suddenly said with an impatient face. At the same time, she vaguely winked at Tribulation Crossing Master and Qida, but she avoided Shangguan Qinyun. The two of them understood at the same time. With Shangguan Qinyun here, no matter what method the three of them came up with, it would be immediately leaked by Shangguan Qinyun. She was just short of pasting a note on her forehead saying that she was a spy. If they continued with this kind of meeting, it would be meaningless. Chapter 56:12. If they really wanted to come up with some countermeasures, they had to leave Shangguan Qinyun aside and let the three of them discuss in secret. That was what Ma Zayden meant. She wanted Sage Du Nan and Cheetah to work together to send Shengguan Qingyun away. Daoist Dujia immediately said with a helpless expression, "What sect leader Ma said makes sense. It's useless for us to discuss it here. The only hope of our Qingkuan sect is that Daoist Du Nan can arrive in time. Let's call it a day. Everyone, go back and rest. We'll gather tomorrow." Shengguan Qingyun waved his hand and said with a smile, "Don't. It's rare for us to meet each other. Tomorrow is the last segment of the Archean Grand Meeting. Why don't we gather today, drink and chat? There won't be many opportunities like this in the future. This shameless guy, why is he like a sticky candy that I can't get rid of?" Ma Zayden glanced at Shengguan Qingyun coldly and said with a pout, "Sorry, I'm not familiar with you. I won't accompany you." Cheetah stood up and said to Shengguan Qingyun with a smile, "I'm sorry, Shengguan clan master. I have to go back and make arrangements. After all, our Heaven's Enlightenment faction has the highest probability of being challenged tomorrow. So, you know." Without waiting for Shengguan Qingyun to reply, he cupped his hands at Sage Du Nan and Ma Zayden, turned around and left. Sage Du Nan was even more direct. He raised his teacup and said lightly, "I won't see you out." That was it. After all, this was the Qingkuan sect station. Seeing that the three of them were determined to exclude him, Shengguan Qingyun had no choice but to shrug his shoulders and leave. After a while, Cheetah and Ma Zayden came back secretly. Although Shengguan Qingyun knew about it, he couldn't stop them. In the end, Shengguan Qingyun didn't know what the three of them came up with. However, he was more confident in Lin Yi than himself, so he didn't care too much. In his opinion, Lin Yi's absolute strength could crush all schemes. He didn't need to worry at all. The next morning, Yu Yi rushed back to Ruin Town and found the station of the Qingkuan sect. This surprised Lin Yi. He didn't expect Yu Yi to be so efficient. He was given 2 days, but he came back in a little more than a day. "Master, I didn't disappoint you. I found the center's experimental base." Yu Yi did not even bother to catch his breath as he said to Lin Yi with a smug expression. That expression was just short of writing the words "hurry up" and "praise me" on his face. "Good job." Lin Yi smiled and said, then asked, "Is it really in the K Luo mountain? Do you have the exact location?" "Of course there is. Master, you can rest assured that I, Yu Yi, will handle it." Yu Yi smiled and patted his chest, then said, "Not only did I know the exact location, I also snuck in to investigate. However, Master told me not to act rashly, so I didn't go too deep. I only heard some news from the periphery." Lin Yi nodded and said, "It's good that you remember my instructions. Tell me, what did you find out?" Yu Yi licked his lips, lowered his voice and said mysteriously, "Master, I heard that the center is doing some kind of mysterious experiment. They want to inject some kind of sea beast's chicken yin into the human body. After fusing with it, the human body will break through to the legendary Xian ascending stage." "Master, what kind of chicken is this chicken yin? It was actually so powerful. It can even help people break through profound ascension? Chicken yin? I'm still a duck fruit. It's really scary to be uneducated." Lin Yi was too lazy to explain to Yu Yi, so he waved his hand and didn't say anything. The center wanted to capture the sea beast royal blue flood dragon. It really wanted to use the blue flood dragon's gene to fuse with the human body and create a Xian ascending stage master. If the center really succeeded in their research, then the structure of the ancient small world would completely change. Lin Yi's own Yuanshan level was only at the peak of the middle stage of Xian ascending stage. If the center could successfully create a Xian ascending stage master, the level would surpass Lin Yi's Yuanshan level. With Lin Yi's current Yuanshan strength, he would be completely in a passive position. Looking up and seeing Yu Yi's face full of fascination, Lin Yi suddenly felt angry and funny. This guy was a crazy person who only wanted to improve his strength. For strength, he could really do anything. After thinking about the power of the Xian ascending stage, he was unable to extricate himself. What, are you envious? Want to go back to the center to accept the experiment and see if you can advance to the legendary Xian ascending stage? Lin Yi's mouth curled up and asked faintly. Yu Yi's whole body quivered, and he quickly said with a face full of smiles, how can that be? Yu Yi is Master's man in life, and he is Master's ghost in death. How can he go back to the center to do some chicken-eating? Even if he succeeds, he will become a bastard. Absolutely impossible. Lin Yi shook his head helplessly. What is Master's man in life, and Master's ghost in death? It's really disgusting. Yu Yi secretly observed Lin Yi's expression and lowered his voice. Of course, if Master wants Yu Yi to go undercover in the enemy, Yu Yi will not hesitate to go through water and tread on fire. Not to mention being a bastard, it doesn't matter even if it's a hybrid. Stop. Lin Yi hurriedly raised his hand to stop Yu Yi. This bastard was getting more and more out of hand. However, his desire to become a Xian ascending stage was also very clear. It was almost engraved on his face. Yu Yi obediently shut his mouth, but in his heart, he was thinking, if I wasn't controlled by you, I would definitely go and give it a try. Xian ascending stage. That is the legendary Xian ascending stage. One look at you and I can tell that you haven't seen the world. When you heard that the Xian ascending stage is similar to the Yuanying stage? What a joke. When the center succeeds, any one of them will be able to kill you with a finger. Let's see how you can still be proud. Speaking of which, if the center kills Lin Yi, will I be able to be free? At that time, should I continue to go back to the center and ask them to help me advance to the Xian ascending stage? Seems like it's not bad. The more Yu Yi thought about it, the more he felt that it was a good idea. He suddenly felt a little proud. He actually hoped that the center could quickly create a Xian ascending stage master to kill Lin Yi. Not only could he regain his freedom, but he could also advance to the Xian ascending stage. It was really a good thing for both sides. As for the loyalty that Lin Yi got from the practitioner's arts, Yu Yi had probably thrown it out to feed the dogs by now. Lin Yi glanced at Yu Yi. He felt that the expression on this guy's face was a little strange. He didn't know what he was planning. However, after hearing what Yu Yi said, Lin Yi had some new ideas. Chapter 56:13. Yu Yi hurriedly retracted his thoughts and carefully said, why wouldn't I dare? As long as it is Master's order, I, Yu Yi, am not afraid of dying, not to mention this is a chance to advance to the legendary Xian Sheng. It is worth taking a little risk. This is not a little risk, there is a big chance that your body that has just been reincarnated will be finished again, and this time even your soul may fall. Lin Yi was not trying to scare Yu Yi, even if he did not understand the center's experiment, this little bit of common sense could still be inferred. What kind of risk is that, compared to advancing to the Xian Sheng stage and becoming the real number one person in the ancient small Jianghu? This little risk is completely negligible. Yu Yi could not help but reveal his thoughts. In order to become more powerful, he could indeed do anything. Lin Yi looked at Yu Yi strangely, nodded and said, if you say so, then I am relieved. Anyway, if I kill you, I can just find a new body for you to possess. Ah. Master, what do you mean? Yu Yi had a dumbfounded look. He thought to himself, could it be that he knew what I was thinking? So he wanted to kill me? That's not right. If he really wanted to kill me, why would he talk about finding a new body for me to possess? You will know in a while, now come with me. Lin Yi waved his hand to signal Yu Yi to follow him out, sat on the flying spirit beast outside the ruins town, and flew to a remote place in the ancient mountain range. In fact, Lin Yi had just thought of a problem. In the ancient small Jianghu, the main thing was the cultivation of divine sense, which led to the improvement of the body. Yu Yi in front of him was the best example. In this place, what could divine sense do? Not to mention divine sense attacks, condensing Dan fire, increasing the level, and activating martial skills. Lin Yi felt that he was really stupid. His train of thought had fallen into the wrong direction, thinking that martial arts needed a physical body and qi to be used. For example, the 5 elements murderous aura needed to be condensed into a yuan body to be able to use it. As for the higher level 5 elements murderous aura, it couldn't even be used because of the yuan body's level limit. Actually, that was not the case. In the primordial underworld, many sects use divine sense to drive the physical body to execute martial techniques. In other words, Lin Yi could completely bypass the restrictions of the primordial spirit and use his divine sense to execute the various martial techniques of his main body. In this way, it was equivalent to the full recovery of his main body's combat strength. With this idea in mind, Lin Yi secretly tried it just now and found that it was possible, so he pulled Yu Yi out to test it. Since Yu Yi was completely unafraid of death in order to improve his strength, Lin Yi of course had to satisfy his wish. Since he still had to try, he might as well try to help Yu Yi break through to the profound ascending stage. After the flying spirit beast landed, Lin Yi spread out his divine sense and confirmed that there were no spirit beasts or human cultivators in the surrounding area. He then took out a thunder profound pill from the space in the jade pendant and handed it to Yu Yi. Eat this pill first. Lin Yi didn't explain to Yu Yi what this pill was and what to do next. He just ordered indifferently. Yu Yi's heart skipped a beat. He was inwardly apprehensive, wondering if this was some sort of vicious pill. This kid is cruel and merciless. Maybe he doesn't want to kill me directly, but torture me first. Too vicious. But on the surface, Yu Yi did not show the slightest doubt. Instead, he took the thunder profound pill respectfully and swallowed it without hesitation. He even said with a satisfied look, "Yu Yi thanks Master for the pill. If I can get out of your control, I will definitely torture you to death." Yu Yi, who was swearing in his heart, took the pill and stood quietly on the side. He also began to guess what would happen next. Lin Yi was very satisfied with Yu Yi's performance. He smiled slightly and said, "Are you ready?" What does Master want Yu Yi to prepare?" Yu Yi raised his head and continued to look dumbfounded. "You bastard, you didn't say anything, why did you want me to prepare?" "Prepare to accept the baptism of the thunder tribulation," Lin Yi said lightly, and then he used his divine sense to cast a martial skill and triggered the thunder tribulation. The whole process was as Lin Yi expected. In the beginning, it was a little rusty. After all, it was the first time he used his divine sense to cast a martial skill. But after he succeeded, it became smooth. The sudden thunder tribulation completely shocked Yu Yi. If it weren't for Lin Yi's thunder profound pill, it was estimated that Yu Yi would have been killed by Lin Yi. But now, his face was scorched black and his hair stood up. He looked a little embarrassed. In Yu Yi's body, while the thunder and lightning raged, Yu Yi's divine sense instinctively guided his body and soul to change. Indeed, as Lin Yi said, this was a baptism of thunder and lightning, purifying the impurities in Yu Yi's body and soul. Without the thunder Xian pill, Yu Yi might have been purified as well. But now, he clearly felt as if his body was about to explode. However, at the edge of the limit, there was an endless amount of energy that flowed back into his meridians. Even his spirit began to change as if it had been reborn. At this time, even a fool knew what had happened. This was a precursor to a breakthrough. Yuanian great perfection, what was after the breakthrough? The legendary profound ascension stage. Yu Yi felt that he was really going to explode, not because of the thunder tribulation, but because of the joy in his heart. All of this came too suddenly. Happiness really caught people off guard. After a while, the thunder tribulation stopped. Yu Yi's aura uncontrollably spread out. This kind of powerful feeling, in the ancient small world, has not been felt for thousands of years. Awesome. Too awesome. I'm going to explode with power. The legendary profound ascension stage, I have broken through. Now, I am the #1 person in the world who can look down on the ancient small world. Yu Yi was so excited that he couldn't help but roar towards the sky. For a person who wholeheartedly pursued the improvement of strength, what could be happier than becoming the #1 in the world? If there was, then it was to kill the person who controlled him. Yu Yi, who was floating in the air, decided to kill Lin Yi in a flash. Although Lin Yi said that he could control Yu Yi's life and death with a thought, Yu Yi was now full of confidence. He thought that he could definitely kill Lin Yi before Lin Yi could react. This fool, he actually let me advance to the profound ascension stage. Did he really think that I would be willing to be his slave for a lifetime? What a joke. I am the number one person in the ancient times. Chapter 56:14. Amidst a loud rumble, the newly ascended number one expert of the primordial era, Uncle Yu Yi, who looked down on the world, somersaulted several times in the air, knocking over several large trees in a row. Finally, he slammed into a rock, causing countless cracks to appear on the rock. Yu Yi, who slid down from the rock, immediately knelt down. His eyes were filled with tears. It really hurts. I am a profound ascending stage cultivator. The ancient number one. Why does it hurt so much? What is the background of this little bastard? Is a profound ascending stage cultivator a dough that can be kneaded casually in front of him? Is there no day for me to make a name for myself? Lin Yi gently landed in front of Yu Yi, looked at him with a smile that was not a smile and said, "What are you doing? Why are you kneeling and crying?" In fact, if Lin Yi wanted to kill Yu Yi, he only needed to think about it, but it was not easy to raise Yu Yi to the profound ascending stage. Lin Yi did not want to kill him so easily, so he used the Dragon 5 Elements murderous chi to teach Yu Yi a little lesson. After understanding the method of using divine sense to activate martial skills, Lin Yi's strength completely returned to normal. Not to mention a mere profound ascending stage cultivator, even if it was a mountain opening stage cultivator, Lin Yi was not afraid at all. Yu Yi is thanking Master. Without Master, how could there be the current Yu Yi? Yu Yi never thought that he would be able to advance to the legendary profound ascension stage in his lifetime. Yu Yi's tears of excitement, I kneel down in gratitude. After saying these words, Yu Yi admired himself. He was really a genius. Too smart. I am so smart, there will definitely be a chance to escape from the clutches of this little bastard in the future. Oh, is that so? Then why did you rush over here just now? Lin Yi would not believe this guy's nonsense. He was clearly crying and begging for mercy because of the pain. It was as if he was telling the truth. Just now. Yu Yi wanted to play dumb, but on second thought, there was no way to pass the test. So, he immediately said with an enlightened expression, just now. That's because I just successfully leveled up, so I was too excited and wanted to hug Master to express my gratitude and celebrate. I didn't expect that I wouldn't be able to control my aura well, so I was a bit rash. It's my fault, Master, please punish me. So that's how it is. Forget it then. Lin Yi faintly smiled. It didn't matter if this fellow Yu Yi had some petty thoughts. It was fine if he occasionally gave him a warning. In any case, he couldn't escape from the palm of Lin Yi's hand, so let him be. Yu Yi put on a fawning smile and said, Master's move just now was so powerful. It was really mighty, domineering, and invincible. What was the name of that move? That's right, seeing how Master casually sent Yu Yi flying, it seemed that Master's strength had already reached an unfathomable level. I don't know if Yu Yi has a chance to catch up to 1/10 of Master. Lin Yi knew that this guy wanted to find out some information about Lin Yi's strength. In fact, it was not a big deal to tell him, but Lin Yi didn't want to let him do what he wanted, so he faintly smiled and said, follow me well and focus on doing things for me. In the future, you still have a chance to catch up to me, 1/10 of my strength. Yu Yi spat a few times in his heart, but his face was still smiling brightly. He respectfully said, then Yu Yi thanks Master for cultivating me. All right. Let's go back. Lin Yi waved his hand to signal Yu Yi to follow him back to Ruin Town. In his heart, he was thinking about continuing to improve the strength of his side. As a test subject, Yu Yi was the most suitable one. Since it had been proven to be feasible, then Lin Yi had to consider who should be the next person to promote to the profound ascension stage. Anyway, he had the Thunder Xian pill, and the thunder punishment could also be created. The only problem was to find a suitable person. Now, the most suitable person was, of course, Immemorial Invincible. This was a veteran Yuaniing realm cultivator who had been at this level for more than 100 years. With the Thunder Xian Pill and the Thunder Punishment, advancing to the Profound Ascension stage was almost a matter of course. As for Bing Wuqing and Xianijia, they both relied on elixirs to advance to the Yuaniing realm in a short period of time. Their accumulation was not enough. Even if they forced themselves to use the Thunder Xian Pill and the Thunder Punishment to advance, it would not necessarily be successful. Instead, it would double the difficulty of advancing in the future. Therefore, Lin Yi did not intend to find them now. In addition to Immemorial Invincible, another suitable person was Shengguan Feixing. This was also a veteran Yuaniing realm cultivator, and he had a good relationship with Lin Yi. For the sake of Shanghai Tianhua, he should help him. Not to mention, in order to deal with the center, Lin Yi also needed Shengguan Feixing's strength. With these three masters of the Profound Ascension stage, Lin Yi could go to the center of the K Luo mountain in advance after the end of the Immemorial Grand Meeting. It would be best if he could rescue the Blue Flood Dragon before the agreed gathering time of the sea beasts. To be honest, Lin Yi did not really want the army of sea beasts to come ashore. If these sea beasts liked the land and did not want to leave, it would also be troublesome. It was easy to kill them all, but it was not worth it to completely become enemies with the endless sea. Yu Yi agreed. His face did not change, and he respectfully followed Lin Yi back. However, he was laughing in his heart. The matter of being taught a lesson by Lin Yi had long been forgotten. The joy of becoming a Profound Ascension stage emerged again, and Yu Yi wanted to secretly laugh just thinking about it. Speaking of Xue Jianfeng, that idiot, what the hell did he do with the group of despicable people in the center, and in the end, he became a bastard. I'm still the smart one, following my master casually and becoming a Profound Ascension stage master, and a purebred one at that. From now on, should follow my master well. No, I should first deceive him to raise my strength to a higher level, and then turn against him, slap that little bastard on the wall, and completely get out of my control. This plan is not bad, let's do it this way. Yu Yi secretly made a lot of plans in his heart, and before he knew it, he had already returned to the ruined town. After returning to the ruined town, Lin Yi let Yu Yi stay in the Blue Cloud sect first, and he immediately went to find Primordial Invincible and Shengguan Feixing, and asked them to go out with him. The two of them trusted Lin Yi very much, so naturally, they did not suspect anything, and left with Lin Yi without saying a word. After arriving at the place where Yu Yi had a breakthrough, and after getting off the flying spirit beast, Lin Yi said to the two of them with a serious face, Elder Feixing, Elder Invincible, this time I called you out because there is something I need you to decide. No matter what your final choice is, you don't need to consider my opinion, understand? I don't quite understand. Primordial Invincible was honest and directly shook his head and said, Master Lin, why don't you just say it, as long as it is your matter? Primordial Invincible will absolutely do it without any hesitation. Chapter 56-15. Ever since Lin Yi had completed the Shengguan clan's cultivation technique, Shengguan Feixing had already accepted Lin Yi as his great martial uncle. If possible, he wanted to meet the female great martial uncle from the Shengguan clan. Therefore, he was very respectful towards Lin Yi. Lin Yi smiled faintly and said, It's not about me, it's about the two of you. As he spoke, Lin Yi flipped his hand and took out 2 Thunder Xian pellets. These 2 pellets are called Thunder Xian pellets. Together with the Thunder Calamity, there is a high chance that you can safely advance to the Profound Ascension stage. However, the high chance does not guarantee success. The so-called safety does not mean that there is absolutely no danger. If you are unlucky, you are likely to be seriously injured by the backlash, and you may not be able to reach the Profound Ascension stage in the future. Therefore, I need you to make your own decision. Primordial Invincible and Shengguan Feixing were shocked and they heard about the Profound Thunder Pills and breaking through to the Profound Ascension realm. They looked at Lin Yi in disbelief. From Lin Yi's face, they couldn't tell that he was joking at all. So, it was true. Profound Ascension Realm? What chance? What injury? Both of them didn't hear it at all. Right now, the only thing left in their minds was the Profound Ascension Realm, and the only thing left in their eyes were the Profound Thunder Pills. Great Martial Uncle Lin, this disciple is willing to take the Profound Thunder Pills. Shangguan Feixing didn't hesitate and immediately chose to break through to the Profound Ascension Realm. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. If he didn't grasp it when it was right in front of him, then he, Shangguan Feixing, would have lived for so many years in vain. Primordial Invincible immediately made the same choice. If he wasn't too excited, he would have spoken before Shangguan Feixing, but in the end, Shangguan Feixing beat him to it. Lin Yi wasn't surprised by their choices. Although their pursuit of strength wasn't as crazy as Yu Yi's, it was obvious that both of them were the top powerhouses in the ancient underworld. Their pursuit of strength would never stop. If that's the case, then take one each. Elder Feixing, take it first. After Elder Feixing successfully breaks through to the Profound Ascension Realm, Elder Invincible will take the Profound Thunder Pills, so that there won't be any unnecessary trouble. Lin Yi nodded and said, then gave the Profound Thunder Pills to both of them. Shangguan Feixing respectfully received it with both hands. This was a treasure related to whether or not he could enter the Profound Ascension phase. When he held it in his hands, Shangguan Feixing, a nascent soul perfected cultivator, actually felt slightly nervous. The invincible primordial realm beside him was obviously not much different. Someone like Bing Wuqing, who had just entered the nascent soul perfected realm, would never understand the feelings of being trapped for hundreds of years without being able to make any progress. Grandmaster Lin, please just call me Feixing. Don't call me Elder. That's too much. Shangguan Feixing took a deep breath and remembered how Lin Yi addressed him. He immediately asked Lin Yi to change the way he addressed him. That's right. Master Lin, just call me Invincible from now on. Don't call me Elder. Primordial Invincible was annoyed. He felt that he had failed so badly today that he could only repeat what Shangguan Feixing said. Lin Yi didn't mind. After all, cultivators always respected strength. Lin Yi's strength was more than enough to be their grandmaster or senior. Alright, that's not important. Feixing, take the Profound Thunder Pill first and prepare for the Thunder Tribulation. Grandmaster, where did the Thunder Tribulation come from? Shangguan Feixing obediently took the Profound Thunder Pill. He then looked up at the cloudless sky and asked with some doubt. Because they came here by flying spirit beast, they were quite far from the ruined town. The commotion caused by Yu Yi's advancement to the profound ascending stage would not spread to the ruined town. Lin Yi chose this place to keep it a secret. Don't worry. If I say there's a thunder tribulation, there will definitely be a thunder tribulation. Lin Yi didn't explain. They would find out soon anyway. When the effect of the pill was about to take effect, Lin Yi said, "Get ready." Then, he used his divine sense to activate a martial technique and trigger the thunder tribulation. Lin Yi's lightning tribulation wasn't comparable to a real lightning tribulation, but Shangguan Feixing and Primordial Invincible, who had never seen a lightning tribulation before, were both shocked. Shangguan Feixing, who was in the middle of the lightning tribulation, didn't have the time to carefully observe and feel it. He was shocked for a moment, but he immediately used all his strength to break through to profound ascension. But Primordial Invincible, who was on the side, felt that Lin Yi was terrifying because of the thunder tribulation. To be able to trigger the power of heaven and earth with the strength of one person, this was no longer within the scope of martial techniques. It was beyond martial techniques and belonged to the legendary supernatural power. To be able to meet a person like Lin Yi, who was destined to be extraordinary, Primordial Invincible suddenly felt that his luck was really good. Originally, most of his thoughts were to cooperate with Lin Yi to repay him. Now, after seeing the strength of Lin Yi, all of his thoughts turned into sincere reverence. After a short while, Shangguan Feixing successfully broke through to the profound ascension stage and easily stabilized his strength. After all, he was a veteran Yuanying stage great perfection for so many years. Compared to Yue, who was promoted by the center, he was much more powerful. Until now, Yue's profound ascension stage aura was still a little unstable. From this point, it could be seen the difference in accumulation between the two. Thank you, Martial Uncle. After Shangguan Feishing felt the indescribable power in his body, he immediately came over and bowed with his fists. Shangguan Feishing was not Yue. He would not be blinded by the huge increase in strength just because he entered the profound ascension stage. On the contrary, Lin Yi, who was able to easily improve his strength, became more and more unfathomable in Shangguan Feishing's heart. Therefore, Shangguan Feishing, who had reached the profound ascension stage, became more and more respectful to Lin Yi. This is also because your own strength has reached a certain level. I just provided you with an opportunity. If you can't do it yourself, I can't do anything about it. Lin Yi smiled and waved his hand. He did not have the intention to take credit in front of Shangguan Feishing. Everyone knew what was going on in their hearts. They knew what to do without saying anything, so there was no need to say anything on the surface. Shangguan Feishing did not continue to say anything. As the saying goes, great kindness cannot be thanked with words. Obviously, Lin Yi's kindness to him could not be offset with words of gratitude. Anyway, in the future, he will firmly follow Lin Yi and be at his beck and call. Chapter 56:16. Lin Yi turned his head and gestured to Primordial Invincible to take the pill. Primordial Invincible nodded, took a deep breath, raised his head and took the Thunder Xian pill. Shangguan Feishing quietly retreated to the side, consciously guarding Lin Yi and Primordial Invincible. When Lin Yi used a martial skill to trigger the Thunder Retribution again, it was Shangguan Feishing's turn to sigh. Although he had experienced it just now, he still felt that it was incredible. Even though Shangguan Feishing was already an expert in the early stage of Mysterious Ascension realm, he still felt that it was very dangerous to face such a powerful Thunder Retribution, because at this moment, there was no Thunder Xian pill that could neutralize and absorb the power of the Thunder Retribution. Primordial Invincible quickly completed his advancement in the Thunder Retribution. He was a more experienced nascent soul, great perfection than Shangguan Feishing, so his accumulation was naturally deeper. From the stabilized aura, he was also stronger than Shangguan Feishing. Lin Yi did not ask how many spiritual roots they had integrated in the end. Firstly, it was not convenient for them to ask. Although Lin Yi knew that they would definitely answer if he asked, it was obviously not a reason. Secondly, Lin Yi used the advancement method of Heaven Stage Island, but after the actual advancement, it was not certain whether it would be the same as Heaven Stage Island. After all, the advancement of the ancient small Jianghu mainly relied on the divine sense, so it was not convenient to ask this question. Anyway, the leader could ask Yue. Master Lin, I, Primordial Invincible, am not very good with words, so I won't say anything unnecessary. If you need my help in the future, please don't hesitate to ask. Primordial Invincible's heart was full of joy. Lin Yi smiled and congratulated him a few words, then changed the topic. When the leader went to K Luo Mountain, he would really need the two of them immediately. Martial Uncle, the time to challenge the 4 great sects is about to begin, right? This time, I will also go and have a look. If the Qinkuan sect and the 5 Elements sect don't know what's good for them, we can just kick them away and play by ourselves. Previously, Shangguan Feishing had gone into seclusion to study the completed mental cultivation techniques. However, Shangguan Qingyun must have been reporting to him about the situation of the archaic meeting, so Shangguan Feishing wasn't unfamiliar with it at all. Now that he had become a mysterious ascended early stage expert, Shangguan Feishing was no longer in a hurry to study the mental cultivation method. If Jadian's sect wanted to become one of the 4 great sects, as a grand disciple, he still had to support Grand Master Lin Yi. Let's see how it goes. I don't think they will really do anything out of line. Lin Yi smiled faintly. The matter regarding the 4 great sects had basically been decided. After being able to use his divine sense to execute martial techniques, who else in the supreme ancient underworld could be a match for Lin Yi? At present, the three profound ascending stage cultivators who had just been promoted were not even a match for Lin Yi. If he really wanted to overthrow the Qiankuan sect and the Five Elements sect, it would just be a piece of cake for Lin Yi. The only trouble was the center. He didn't know how far the center's experiment had progressed. Logically speaking, it wouldn't succeed so quickly. The most worrying thing was that they had already done the research before. Now, they just needed to add the blue flood dragon gene and it would be completed. The three of them boarded the flying spirit beast and quickly flew to the ruined town. The time was almost up. Lin Yi had already decided to solve the 4 challenges as soon as possible. After arriving at the ruined town, the 4 great sects and 10 small sects had already gathered and were ready for the final 4 challenges. Because Lin Yi hadn't appeared yet, the people of Jadian's sect naturally wouldn't come out to challenge. As for the Qiankuan sect and the Five Elements sect, they didn't rush them either. Everyone was waiting tacitly. Before Lin Yi went over, he said to Primordial Invincible, in this 4 challenges, our Jadian sect will challenge the Qiankuan sect, and then your Thousand Blades sect will challenge the 4 great sections. Originally, although the Thousand Blades sect was ranked second among the 10 small sects, because you didn't meet the prerequisite of having 3 nascent soul stage cultivators, you were qualified to challenge, but you couldn't. Now that you are already in the profound ascending stage, it doesn't matter anymore. I understand. Primordial Invincible nodded in agreement. In fact, the one he wanted to challenge the most was the Qiankuan sect. After all, the enmity between the 2 sects was too deep. Plus, Primordial Invincible had just been crippled by the Qiankuan sect. If it wasn't for Lin Yi, he might not even be able to get out of his bed, let alone an early profound ascending stage cultivator. However, since Lin Yi had said that the Jadian sect was going to challenge the Qiankuan sect, it meant that this was part of Lin Yi's plan. Let alone the fact that the Thousand Blades sect was ranked second, even if they were ranked first, they would still leave the Qiankuan sect for Lin Yi to deal with. Lin Yi nodded his head and didn't say anything else. Among the 4 big sects, the Shangguan clan was definitely not an option. Lin Yi didn't need to remind Lin Yi about this. After all, Shangguan Feixing was right next to him. Even if Primordial Invincible was stupid enough to challenge the Shangguan clan, he might not be able to defeat Shangguan Feixing. Furthermore, Lin Yi would never allow such a situation to happen. Without a doubt, the Five Elements sect, which had some enmity with Lin Yi, was the best target. Although Lin Yi didn't say it out loud, his plan was basically the same. The Heaven's Enlightenment faction didn't have any stance, so Lin Yi didn't have any intention of targeting them. If the Snow Sword faction could gather 3 nascent Soul Realm warriors, they could continue challenging the Heaven's Enlightenment faction. Unfortunately, Yu Taizong had become Yu1, and Xue Jianfeng had betrayed the Snow Sword faction and joined the core sect. The only one left was Bing Wuqing, who didn't have the qualifications to challenge the 4 big sections. Unless Lin Yi could turn Bing Wuqing into a profound ascending realm warrior, she would definitely lose. In just a few words, the 3 of them had arrived at the edge of the stage. Shangguan Qingyun saw that his father had arrived as well, so he quickly came over and greeted Lin Yi. After that, he brought Shangguan Feixing to the stage. After all, this position originally belonged to Shangguan Feixing. Shangguan Qingyun was also qualified to come up, but his ranking was still lower than Shangguan Feixing's. The Shangguan clan has 2 geniuses, 2 perfected nascent soul realm warriors. After this competition, I'm afraid their ranking will rise by a few ranks. Why don't you just say that the Shangguan clan will be able to reach the top of the 4 big sects? There are only 3 positions left, alright? Shoo, stop talking. Lin Yi and Primordial Invincible are here. The 4 big challenges are about to begin. Who do you think the Blue Cloud sect will choose to challenge? It shouldn't be their own backing, the Shangguan clan, right? Do you think the Blue Cloud sect is as stupid as you? I think most of them will challenge the Heaven's Enlightenment faction. I think it's more likely to challenge the Five Elements sect. The Blue Cloud sect had a conflict with the Five Elements sect before. With the appearance of Lin Yi, the people below the stage began to whisper again. There were all kinds of things being said, but no one said the truth. The 4 big challenges were about to begin. After Lin Yi arrived, he called the great elder of the ruins town and said, "You can start the 4 big challenges now." Chapter 56:17. The great elder of the ruins town glanced at Lin Yi and said indifferently, "It's not time yet, why are you in such a hurry?" Xianijia said with dissatisfaction, "When will it be time?" "We will tell you when it is time." "Do you think that you are already one of the top 4? You even want to meddle in this matter?" The great elder of the ruins town mocked Xianijia indifferently. If Xianijia was not a good-tempered person, he would have turned against him. Qi Danyi saw that the faces of the Jadian sect people were not looking good, so he immediately laughed and said, "Everyone from the Jadian sect, don't be so impatient. We have waited for a day, it's not a big deal. Today is an important day, we are likely to witness the birth of a new top 4, so we should wait for the auspicious time to start." In fact, this was one of the methods discussed by Tribulation Immortal, Ma Zayden and Qi Danyi, which was to buy as much time as possible for Tribulation Immortal to come here. Tribulation Immortal, Ma Zayden and Qi Danyi should have arrived a long time ago, but he was in a critical moment of closed-door training, so it was delayed until now. From his reply, it seemed that his cultivation had improved again. Although he still could not break through to the profound ascension stage, he could be regarded as half a step away from the profound ascension stage, which was more than twice as powerful as a normal Yuanying stage cultivator. Once Tribulation Immortal, the first Yuanying stage cultivator, arrived, the Qiankuan sect would be as stable as a mountain. No one knew what agreement Qi Danyi had with the 2 sects, but he actually gave up his neutral position and spoke for the Qiankuan sect. Lin Yi glanced at Qi Danyi and nodded, "All right. How long until the auspicious time arrives?" Qi Danyi and Tribulation Immortal looked at each other, knowing that they would not be able to pass the time without a clear time, so they could only say with a smile, "In another hour, it will be the most auspicious time today. Then we will wait for an hour." Lin Yi did not waste any more time. Since they were going to settle everything today, it was not a big deal to wait for an hour more. It was just enough time for Yu Yi to continue to consolidate his strength. Thinking of Yu Yi, Lin Yi used his divine sense to find his position. He was sitting in the last row of the Jadian sect's phalanx, practicing quietly, which made Lin Yi very satisfied. In fact, Yu Yi was very excited at this moment. He was still praying non-stop, hoping that all the people from the Green Cloud sect would fail. It would be best if all of them died. Then, Lin Yi would have no choice but to send him, Yu Yi, to save the situation. He wanted everyone in the small world to see that he, Yu Yi, was the legendary super strong practitioner of the Black Ascension stage. He was a god who stood in the sky and looked down on the whole world. Yu use his, Yu Tian, if Lin Yu, and he would wake, if to you would Yu, of EU of Tian, he. Yu, he of you, he, you of. You, the, and you of Chen Yu. Yu, at you, the you, of you, he, let's start now. We are all busy, and it's not a good idea to waste time like this. The great elder of Tian Yu had no other choice. He looked at Yu Zhenren, but he didn't get any hint, so he nodded and said, "Let's start the challenge. Tell me the rules first." Speaking of this, the great elder pretended to clear his throat, and then said in a slow tone, "This time, only the Jadian sect is qualified for the challenge. So, people of the Jadian sect, please listen carefully. The rules of the challenge are very simple. After specifying the sect to be challenged, both sides will send their strongest people to fight alone. There will be a total of 3 matches, and the winner will win 2 out of 3 matches. You can choose one person to fight 3 matches, or you can send 3 people to fight 1 match each. The losers can continue to fight if they want. There is no limit to their strength. If you want, you can also send a stage of foundation establishment. Speaking of the foundation establishment stage, the Grand Elder of the ruined town glanced meaningfully at Ling Tianyu of the Thousand Blades sect, obviously mocking the fact that the Thousand Blades sect only had 2 people. I would like to remind you that if you want to become one of the Big Four, you must first fulfill the condition of having 3 original soul stage experts. One of them must be at the great completion stage of the nascent soul stage. If you don't meet the conditions, don't even think about challenging the Big Four. The Great Elder of the ruined town almost called out the Thousand Blades sect. In the eyes of the Great Elder of Ruins Town, there were only 2 people in the Thousand Blades sect. Even if the Blue Cloud sect succeeded in ascending, the Thousand Blades sect could not change the fact that they could only reach the 10 small ones. No matter what, they could not threaten the Qinkuan sect. Since there was no possibility for the Thousand Blades sect to advance, and they could not afford to offend Lin Yi, it was also good to vent their anger on the Thousand Blades sect. If it were not for the fact that Lin Yi's strength was too unpredictable, the Qinkuan sect and the other 2 sects would even want to directly remove Lin Yi from the Blue Cloud sect's list of original soul stage experts, so that they could even skip the challenge. Ling Tianyu was very calm, completely ignoring the Great Elder's provocation. Although he did not know that the Primordial Invincible had advanced to the Profound Ascension stage, the Primordial Invincible who came back with Lin Yi gave him a completely strange feeling. It was as if staying beside the Primordial Invincible made him tremble from the bottom of his heart. Obviously, this was not a bad thing. Are you done? If you are, then let's start. Xianijia impatiently interrupted the long speech of the Great Elder of Ruins Town. He pointed at Du Jiezhenren and said, "We, the Blue Cloud sect, want to challenge the Qinkuan sect." There was a sudden uproar. Most people guessed that the Blue Cloud sect would choose the Enlightenment sect as their opponent. After all, the Enlightenment sect was currently the weakest sect. There were also many people who thought that the Blue Cloud sect would challenge the Five Elements sect, but basically no one thought that the opponent of the Blue Cloud sect would be the Qinkuan sect. After all, the Qinkuan sect had always been the leader of the 4 sections. Even if the tiger was dead, the tiger was still alive. The strongest immortal Du Nan was still standing behind the Qinkuan sect like a mountain. With immortal Du Nan there, anyone who wanted to challenge the Qinkuan sect would have to think twice. The title of the first original soul stage expert was not self-proclaimed, it was recognized by the small Jianghu in ancient times. Du Jiezhenren's face was livid. Even though he had expected it, being challenged by Xianijia still made him feel embarrassed. Chapter 56:18. It couldn't be helped. The rules were set by them. Even if they didn't want to, the challenged sect had to come out and accept the challenge unless they admitted defeat. Obviously, Sage Du Jia would not admit defeat. In that case, the participants of the first match, please come on stage. The Great Elder of the Ruins Town was also indignant. As a member of the Qinkuan sect, he looked at Lin Yi and the others with hatred. It was rare that he could continue to host the match. Lin Yi lifted his foot and was about to go up. Since Divine Sense could activate martial arts, Lin Yi could easily defeat anyone from the Qinkuan sect without using Divine Sense attacks. If he went up, the 2 matches would probably take less than a minute, as long as the Great Elder of the Ruins Town didn't dawdle and drag the time. Wait! Sage Du Jia saw that Lin Yi was about to go up on stage and immediately shouted to stop him. "Lin Yi, you can't go up on stage to fight." Lin Yi raised his eyebrows and said, "What do you mean?" Sage Du Jia landed on the stage and said righteously, "The rules have stated that the strongest people of the 2 sects will fight. Are you human? You are a primordial spirit." This was the second method that Sage Du Jia and the other 2 had discussed. If time couldn't be delayed, then they would find an excuse not to let Lin Yi fight. The most unpredictable person in the Qinkuan sect was Lin Yi. As long as Lin Yi was excluded, the others were nothing to worry about. Ma Zedong laughed and said, "That's right. Lin Yi, you are not human at all. Even if you go up on stage, the result can't be counted." This was blatantly pointing at Lin Yi and calling him a non-human. Ma Zedong felt so good, there was no need to mention it. Shangguan Qin Yun immediately retorted, "What nonsense are you talking about? For us cultivators, the primordial spirit is the origin. It is ridiculous to say that the primordial spirit is not human. If you say that, the four great sects will lose all their face." The audience below the stage was also discussing. Most of them felt that Shangguan Qin Yun was right. What primordial spirit was not human? Who didn't have a primordial spirit? Wouldn't everyone be inhuman then? To the people of the primordial underworld, the primordial spirit was the origin, and the physical body was just a bag. Therefore, the saying of a tribulation-passing sage was absolutely repulsive to most people. Qi Danyi looked at them with an unfathomable expression. Then, he smiled and said, "Everyone, let's not talk too much. Actually, there are no specific rules regarding whether a primordial spirit can participate in the competition. We have learned our lesson this time and can change it in the future. As for today's competition, Elder Lin, I think you don't need to participate. Anyway, Qin Yun sect is full of talents. You as the Grand Master should at least give the younger generation a chance to gain experience." At first, it seemed to be a fair judgment, but in the end, it was completely biased towards Qiankuan sect. Lin Yi looked at Qi Danyi and knew that the Heaven Awakening faction was pressured to join the alliance between Qiankuan sect and Five Elements sect. Fortunately, they were not shameless enough to not count Lin Yi as one of Qin Yun sect's nascent soul stage experts. Otherwise, they could directly disqualify Qin Yun sect's challenge qualification. They probably didn't dare to go too far. Otherwise, if Lin Yi directly turned hostile, the three sects might not be able to withstand Lin Yi's anger. It was better to use this kind of small trick to force Lin Yi to be unable to participate in the competition. In that case, Lin Yi had nothing to say. Later, if the Thousand Blades sect did not choose Five Elements sect and chose to challenge the Heaven Awakening faction, then they deserved it. It was simply a joke to say that without three nascent soul stage experts, one was not qualified to be one of the four great sects. The primordial invincible had advanced to Xiansheng, and he alone was enough to fight against 8 or 10 nascent soul stage experts. If they really fought, 8 or 10 nascent soul stage experts could only be killed by the primordial invincible in seconds. Who dared to say that the Thousand Blades sect was not qualified? Well, since Elder Qi has said so, as a martial granduncle, I really should give some opportunities to the younger generation disciples to perform. Lin Yi shrugged indifferently and said with a faint smile. In fact, if Lin Yi really wanted to participate in the competition, they couldn't stop him even if they joined forces. However, Lin Yi had a new idea, so he took the opportunity and agreed. Turning around, Lin Yi said to Xianjia, "Ijia, you go and experience the strength of the Qiankuan sect's experts in the first round. Be careful, they are the #1 sect in the Archean era. They are very powerful." Xianjia did not expect to have a chance to participate in the competition. Since his strength had improved to the full completion of the nascent soul stage, he had not fought a real fight yet. He immediately nodded excitedly and said, "No problem, martial granduncle, just watch my performance." In the top 10 ranking competition, Xianjia did not even get a chance to participate in the competition. All the opportunities were taken by his disciple, Jin Weifeng. Now that he finally had a chance to participate, he must perform well. After getting on the stage, Xianjia pointed at the Qiankuan sect with his sheathed long sword and said, "Xianjia from the Jadian sect is here to challenge. Who from the Qiankuan sect will come out?" Sage Du Nan was full of hatred. The Qiankuan sect used to have many experts, but more than half of them had died during the Archean era. Now that Sage Du Nan was not here, who else could participate in the competition except him? Since sect leader Xian has come down personally, of course, I will also accept the challenge. Sage Du Nan snorted and walked towards Xianjia step by step. During this period, his momentum was raised to the extreme, and the aura of the full completion of the nascent soul stage was completely revealed. Good. I'd like to see what Sage Du Nan is capable of. Exionigia laughed and put away his sheathed long sword. He stabbed it on the ground, and his momentum burst out without any reservation. The full completion of the nascent soul stage. Although there was such a rumor that only a full completion of the nascent soul stage was qualified to challenge the top 4, it was the first time that Exionigia showed his full strength in front of the crowd, and it still caused a commotion. On the surface, Exionigia seemed to have the upper hand. After all, Sage Du Nan was only a full completion of the nascent soul stage, which was much weaker than a real full completion of the nascent soul stage. Full completion of the nascent soul stage. You're quite powerful. The Tribulation Immortal did not seem to care at all. He sneered and kept his own pace. He walked towards Exionigia step by step. Every step was as if it was measured with a ruler, without any difference. To be honest, Sage Du Nan was not afraid of Exionigia. No matter how powerful Exionigia was now, it did not change the fact that he was only at the early phase of the Gold Core stage a year ago. With such rapid improvement, even if he was at the full completion of the nascent soul stage, his foundation would not be stable. Even if Sage Du Nan was slightly lower than Exionigia, he was confident that he could defeat Exionigia. Chapter 56-19. Lin Yi did not have the Qianquan sect's mental cultivation method and martial arts skills, so he could not give specific instructions to the Qingyun sect's disciples. Exionigia could only rely on his own experience and insight when he entered the arena. Unfortunately, Exionigia improved too fast, so his battle experience at this level was infinitely close to zero. When Jinren was 10 steps away from Exionigia, the invisible pressure made Exionigia feel that he could not wait any longer. With a clear whistle, he shook his right wrist, and the long sword was unsheathed like lightning. The scabbard was bounced out by Exionigia skillfully and hit Jinren, who was 10 steps away. Jinren face did not change at all, and he still took a step at the same pace. The universe step. The scabbard pierced into the ground with a sharp whistle. It was supposed to be Jinren place, but now there was no one there. Jinren step seemed to add all the distance he had walked before. When he landed, he was already behind Exionigia, and he turned around to attack Exionigia's back with his palm. Although Exionigia did not have enough battle experience at this level, he was not a newbie who had never fought before. When he found that the scabbard missed, he knew something was wrong. He had already circled his long sword, using defense as offense. He did not want to win, but to avoid making mistakes. Jinren palm hit Exionigia's long sword as if he did not see Exionigia's long sword. Strangely, Exionigia's impenetrable sword did not stop Jinren palm at all. It allowed Jinren palm to penetrate through the long sword's defense, and almost hit Exionigia's back where his heart was. The universe step was so terrifying. It was not just a footwork, but a powerful martial arts skill that included follow-up attacks. Lin Yi, who was watching from the side, could not help but be slightly moved. At this critical moment, Exionigia did not panic. Although he did not see Jinren behind him, his sharp divine mind sensed the danger in advance. The long sword that was circling around Exionigia's body suddenly rose into the sky like lightning. Jinren palm missed Exionigia's vital parts by a little. It only scratched the outside of Exionigia's waist, and most of the chi he exhaled missed. Exionigia, who was in the air, frowned slightly. He had suffered quite a bit in the first round. Although the attack on his waist was not a serious injury, it was enough to affect his movements. He had to end the next battle as soon as possible. It would definitely be disadvantageous for Exionigia if the fight dragged on. Jinren really could not be underestimated. Even though the strongest person in Qianquan's sect was Jinren was still the head of the sect. Jinren attack missed, but there was no sadness or joy on his face. He looked up slowly and elegantly, but his eyes were locked on Exionigia's figure. The heaven and earth step was still within the time limit. The Tribulation Immortal stamped his feet lightly and disappeared in a flash. He appeared above the Tribulation Immortal like a ghost and struck out with his palm. This time, the target was Enchanting's head. The heaven and earth step was still in effect. Enchanting was in the air. He tried to turn his head to look at his previous position, trying to find traces of Tribulation Immortal. He did not expect that Tribulation Immortal had already appeared above him. He was still flying up, which was equivalent to sending his head to the palm of Tribulation Immortal. "Master, be careful." Jin Weifeng, who was watching the battle, screamed. He knew that he could not help Enchanting at all. If Enchanting reacted to his warning, his head would have been smashed like a watermelon that was smashed by a hammer. Lin Yi squinted his eyes, but he did not intend to make a move. Enchanting could still handle this level of attack. What he lacked now was actual combat experience. That was why he was tricked by Jinren step by step. In terms of real strength, Enchanting was still half a level higher. Sure enough, although Enchanting could not see Jinren, not seeing him meant the greatest danger. Enchanting could not confirm the position of Jinren, so he could only display his martial arts skills to avoid being in absolute danger. Third appearance of the Cloud Dragon. This was a high-level feng shui martial arts skill in Qianyan sect. Enchanting had just mastered it after reaching the nascent soul realm. Jinren palm hit Enchanting's head, but it went through Enchanting's body directly without any force. It was completely a shadow. Shadow? Jinren, who had been calm since he displayed the universe step, showed a little surprise for the first time. He did not expect that Enchanting could escape from danger with the help of martial arts skills at this critical moment. However, Jinren eyes instantly turned to another position and locked on Enchanting's figure again. To some extent, the universe step of Qinkuan's sect was similar to the Six Directions sect's Heaven and Earth Six Directions sect, but the universe step was obviously more powerful. After discovering Enchanting, Jinren figure flashed and disappeared. He completely ignored the fact that he could not borrow any force in the air. He appeared behind Enchanting in a flash and slapped the back of Enchanting's head. Enchanting did not seem to react at all this time. He did not move at all. However, above Jinren, a long sword with cold light suddenly pierced down. The genuine qi on the tip of the sword was fluctuating, and it almost touched the Baihui acupoint of Jinren head. The audience below the stage cried out in surprise. Although most of them couldn't see the specific details of those few moments, the occasional thrilling scene was exciting enough. Without a doubt, Jinren palm once again went through Enchanting's shadow. The third appearance of the Cloud Dragon, of course, would not only have one shadow. Would Jinren, who was full of killing intent at every step, fail so easily? No one would believe such a reversal, and no one had the time to consider such a possibility. Because the next change had happened almost at the same time. Enchanting's fatal sword pierced through Jinren head smoothly, but at the same time, Enchanting did not feel any obstruction. The Jinren long sword pierced through was also a shadow. Chapter 56-20. This was his last move. Enchanting, who had used all his skills, could no longer control his body and could only fall down. The panic in his heart made him lose his cool. In a battle of this level, losing one's cool almost meant failure. Tribulation Master appeared behind Enchanting again, but the distance between them was a bit awkward. He wanted to continue attacking Enchanting with his palms, but it seemed that his hands were too short. After a series of movements in the air, Tribulation Master was like an arrow at the end of its flight. He could no longer control his movement in the air. All he could do was shake his body and attack Enchanting with an ordinary whip kick. It was impossible for such an attack to kill or even seriously injure Enchanting. The Tribulation Immortal felt that it was better to kick Enchanting than to do nothing since he had nothing to do. It was better than nothing. Unexpectedly, Tribulation Immortal's whip kick barely reached Enchanting due to the distance between them. However, the kick did not land on Xinegia's body. Xinegia lost control of his body and was sent flying out of the ring. His kick only grazed Xinegia's body. Xinegia's body spun and flew out of the ring. To be honest, even the tribulation-passing immortal himself did not expect this result. He wanted to seize the opportunity to gain the upper hand after landing. It would be best if he could kill Xinegia. However, it seemed to be a good idea to win the battle so easily. As long as they won the next battle, Qinkuan's sect would win the challenge, and the qualification of the top 10 would end here. Even if Tribulation Master Du Nan could not make it, it would not be a big problem. The first battle between Qinkuan's sect and Qinkuan's sect, the winner is Tribulation Master of Qinkuan's sect. The great elder of the ruins town, who always wore a poker face, announced loudly with a proud tone. His face was full of disdain. His expression was full of disdain for everyone. Look, look, look. This is the strength of Qinkuan's sect, the first ancient sect. The strongest one can defeat all of you without even having to fight. Come on, let me see who else is left. Who else? The onlookers were in an uproar, but they were not satisfied with the result. That's it? Sand got into my eyes, and it's gone after just a few blinks. The battle was so exciting at the beginning, how could it end so weakly? Keep fighting. What was that kick? That was so ugly. It doesn't count. Sect leader Xian, don't be discouraged. Keep going. We'll definitely win this time. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation Sage, who had just won a round, looked gloomy. He was no longer as calm as he was when he was in the state of heaven and earth step. 7 out of 10 people supported Xinegia, and the other 3 were just here to watch the show. None of them said that he was a good fighter. Are you all fucking blind? Xinegia walked to Lin Yi in shame and said softly, Grand Uncle, I've let you down. I was too careless this time. Please give me another chance. This time, I will defeat a transcending tribulation enlightened being even if I have to die. The rules of the challenge were that the loser was allowed to continue on stage. In any case, it was a best of 3. If you failed once, you could go on stage. If you failed the second time, it would be over. If you were willing, no one would stop you. That was why Xinegia said so. In fact, he had no confidence in defeating the transcending tribulation enlightened being. Xinegia had not seen through the transcending tribulation enlightened being's martial arts technique. Lin Yi obviously knew this, so he patted Xinegia's shoulder and said, You're just not experienced enough, but your strength is no weaker than the transcending tribulation enlightened being. It's not impossible if you want to go on stage and win. But you have to tell me, why did you fail? Xinegia was speechless. Didn't I fail because of lack of experience? That's what you said, Grand Uncle. It seems that you really don't understand. The martial arts technique that the transcending tribulation enlightened being used was very powerful and high-end. At first, I thought it was just a kind of magical footwork. Then, I found out that the footwork had a connecting attack, which was the palm that the transcending tribulation enlightened being had been using. It's not that he couldn't use other martial arts techniques, but it would destroy the integrity of the technique. In order to let Xinegia learn from this experience, Lin Yi took great pains to tell Xinegia what he saw in detail. After a short pause, Lin Yi's face turned serious. If that's all, the transcending tribulation enlightened being's technique isn't too difficult to deal with. Your third appearance of the Cloud Dragon is just enough to restrain it. But in the end, I found out that the scariest thing about the transcending tribulation enlightened being's martial arts technique is that he can instantly copy the opponent's martial arts technique within the range of his own martial arts technique. Although I guess it's just a temporary copy, it's enough for him to gain a huge advantage in the battle. Xinegia raised his head in shock and looked at Lin Yi. Grand Uncle, you mean, the transcending tribulation enlightened being actually copied my third appearance of the Cloud Dragon and defeated me with my own martial arts technique? It was such a ridiculous thing. However, when Xinegia thought about it carefully, he found that he completely believed it. The continuous movement and shadow of the transcending tribulation enlightened being in the air at the last moment was his third appearance of the cloud dragon. After Enchanting figured it out, he was deeply shocked by the transcending tribulation enlightened being's one step to the universe. With such a powerful martial arts technique, it was not unreasonable that the Qinkuan sect could stand on the top of the small Jianghu in the ancient times. However, what shocked Enchanting even more was that Lin Yi could analyze the profound meaning of the transcending tribulation enlightened being's one step to the universe just by watching for a while. Moreover, his analysis was meticulous and flawless. How many fierce battles did he have to go through in order to have such combat experience and insight? In fact, although Lin Yi had rich combat experience, the reason why he could analyze the transcending tribulation enlightened being's one step to the universe so accurately was that he was used to copying other people's martial arts technique. Without such insight, even if he had the 5 elements and the universal genuine qi, he would not be able to do it. In this aspect alone, Enchanting could not be compared with him. As the two of them spoke, a flying spiritual beast flew towards them like lightning from afar and landed on the high platform with a gust of wind. In Ruin Town, only the 4 great sects and clans had the privilege to drive flying spiritual beasts into the town directly. Therefore, this person was undoubtedly a member of the 4 great sects and clans. When the transcending tribulation enlightened being saw the middle-aged man in a Taoist robe coming down from the flying spiritual beast, he laughed and greeted him, "Senior brother Du Nan, you're finally here. I've been waiting for you for a long time." Chapter 56-21. Everyone looked at the ordinary-looking middle-aged man in a Taoist robe. He was the #1 nascent soul cultivator in the archaic Jianghu. Although he did not show his qi, there was still an invisible power that made him stand out from the crowd. "You can't even handle such a small matter?" Enlightened Master Du Nan glanced at the Jade Cloud sect side, then scolded Enlightened Master Du Nan in a slightly dissatisfied tone. Immortal Du Nan thought to himself that he would not be able to handle it if he did not play some tricks. However, he still put on a smile and said, "Since you're here, there's nothing I can't handle. It's mainly because I can't feel at ease without you." Hearing that, Immortal Du Nan's eyes softened a lot. It seemed that they had a good relationship. However, when the onlookers saw that Immortal Du Nan, who was dignified and serious just a moment ago, had become a completely different person with a bright smile on his face, they did not know how to react. "Senior brother Du Nan, this year, the Green Cloud sect really doesn't know what's good for them. How dare they challenge our Qinkuan sect? I've already won a challenge against Enchanting, the current leader of the Green Cloud sect. If I win another one, I'll be able to defeat the Green Cloud sect." Immortal Du Nan glanced at Enchanting with disdain. He believed that he could still defeat Enchanting if they fought again. And this time, Immortal Du Nan was not going to let Enchanting go so easily. After all, he had challenged the Qinkuan sect. He had to teach Enchanting a lesson. "Why don't you kill him?" Immortal Du Nan followed Immortal Du Nan's line of sight and looked at Enchanting coldly. Someone who dared to challenge the Qinkuan sect did not deserve to live. "I wanted to kill him too, but I failed." Immortal Du Nan smiled embarrassedly and said, "Senior brother, don't worry. Enchanting is the most powerful person in the Green Cloud sect. I guess he'll be the next one. Although he's at the peak of the nascent soul realm, he's not that powerful. Just wait and see how I'll deal with him." Immortal Du Nan waved his hand and said, "Forget it. Since I'm already here, let me exercise a little. And let the people in the archaic Jianghu know the consequences of challenging the Qinkuan sect." Tribulation Master was overjoyed. He clapped his hands and laughed. With senior brother Du Nan's help, Enchanting will definitely die. After that, Tribulation Immortal turned around and laughed loudly at Lin Yi and Enchanting. "Enchanting, who's up for the second round? Don't tell me you're still going to come up. Ha ha ha, if it's really you, then let me give you a piece of advice. Hurry up and leave behind your last words. This time, the one on the stage is my senior brother, the #1 expert of half-step profound ascension. When the time comes, don't even have the chance to beg for mercy. Lin Yi sneered. He put his hand on Xianjia's shoulder to stop him from fighting. Fighting with Tribulation Immortal could improve Xianjia's fighting experience. However, if he fought with Immortal Du Nan, Xianjia might not even have time to react before he was killed by Immortal Du Nan. The difference between a half-step profound ascension and a normal nascent soul realm cultivator was as big as the difference between a nascent soul realm cultivator and a nascent soul realm cultivator. Knowing this, Lin Yi certainly would not let Xianjia take the risk. Heh. Half-step profound ascension. You scared us to death. Lin Yi looked at Immortal Du Nan sarcastically. Although the conversation between Immortal Du Nan and Tribulation Master was whispering, Lin Yi still heard every word. Lin Yi really wanted to kill Immortal Du Nan. Because of what Immortal Du Nan said, why don't you kill him? In Immortal Du Nan's eyes, Xianjia was just an ant that could be killed at any time. He did not care about his life or death. If that was the case, Lin Yi would certainly let him know who was the ant. Since you're scared to death, just admit defeat. Then come here and kowtow. If you do that, we, the Qinkuan sect, will consider sparing your Green Cloud sect's life. Immortal Du Nan said arrogantly. It seemed that his biggest backer, Immortal Du Nan, was here. Lin Yi did not bother to pay attention to him. Immortal Du Nan, who had just performed the heaven and earth step, impressed Lin Yi. But now, Immortal Du Nan's IQ seemed to have plummeted. If Lin Yi really paid attention to him, his IQ would plummet as well. Since the #1 nascent soul cultivator is here, we, the Green Cloud sect, can only find a random disciple to deal with him. The sarcasm on Lin Yi's face became more and more obvious. He turned around and waved at Yue, who was in the last row of the Green Cloud sect. Yue, come here. Ha ha ha, is it finally my turn? Lin Yi, you little bastard, you still have to rely on my strength in the end. Ha 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 ha. Yue laughed wildly in his heart. He felt that the time for him to dominate the world had finally come. But on the surface, he still put on a respectful look. When he heard Lin Yi's call, he immediately ran over, not daring to waste a second. Uncle Master, what instructions do you have for me? Because it was in front of others, Yue followed Lin Yi's instructions and also called Lin Yi Uncle Master. Although the seniority was much lower, Yue felt that he did not need to call him master or anything. It was really great. You go up this time, just deal with this #1 nascent soul cultivator. Lin Yi said lightly and waved his hand to signal Yue to go up. Yue still bowed and cupped his fists, and said respectfully, yes. Uncle Master. Lin Yi was very keen to notice the smile on the corner of Yue's mouth. He guessed that this guy must be thinking in his heart, what bullshit half-step profound ascension, do I need Master Yu to deal with it? I can blow him away with a breath, I can drown him with a spit, and so on. It had to be said that Lin Yi really understood Yue. Although it was not a very accurate description, it was basically the same. When Spiritual Master Du Nan saw that Lin Yi sent out a disciple that he had never heard of, he was slightly startled. He thought to himself, what the hell is this? Are you looking down on me, the #1 nascent soul cultivator in the ancient small Jianghu? Ha ha ha, Senior Brother Du Nan, the Green Cloud sect is really afraid. Seeing that Senior Brother is going up, no one dares to come out. They can only send the weakest disciple to deal with it. If he dies, then so be it, it's really ridiculous. Spiritual Master Du Nan thought that he had seen through the truth and said with a laugh. Although Lin Yi said to deal with it, the meaning of the two was obviously completely different. Chapter 56-22. However, Immortal Du Nan was a half-step mysterious ascension cultivator, the top cultivator in the primitive Jianghu. It was beneath his dignity to fight a weakling in the Foundation establishment stage. If he had not agreed to fight, Immortal Du Nan would have turned around and left. Did the Green Cloud sect come up with this disgusting trick because they knew they couldn't defeat him? Immortal Du Nan was enraged. After he stood still on the stage, he looked up at the sky at a 45-degree angle and said coldly and arrogantly, "Nobody, it's your honor to be killed by me. I'll give you a chance. Tell me your name and come here to die." Yue was furious at once. "Who the hell do you think you are? How dare you ask me to tell you my name? Do you think you are Lin Yi? It's my honor to die in your hands. I'll beat you to death and let you know what an honor is." Yue cursed him in his mind out of habit, but he was not polite with his words. Immortal Du Nan was not Lin Yi, so he had no scruples. "Are you deaf? Can't you hear Martial Granduncle Lin Yi call you Yue? Is it because I haven't beaten you for a long time? Are you itching for a beating?" Immortal Du Nan was furious. As the top cultivator in the primitive Jianghu, no one had dared to scold him with such vulgar words for many years. Even his sworn enemy, the invincible primordial sect, would not do that. This disciple of the Green Cloud sect, who came out of nowhere, must be tired of living. "You're courting death," Immortal Du Nan shouted in a low voice. He moved and appeared in front of Yue. Then, he quickly slapped Yue's face. According to Immortal Du Nan's calculation, this casual slap was enough to send the stupid disciple of the Blue Cloud sect's head flying. Such a violent killing blow could not only relieve the resentment in his heart, but also serve as a great deterrent to the other sections. However, to Immortal Du Nan's disbelief, under his lightning-fast slap, the nameless man actually had time to stretch himself and then returned a slap. The slap landed on Immortal Du Nan's face cleanly. All of a sudden, the world in Immortal Du Nan's eyes turned upside down. Before he could react, he had fallen to the edge of the ring with a bang. After rolling for a few times, he stopped at the edge of the ring, unlike Xianijia, who directly got out of the ring. What kind of speed was this? What kind of strength was this? Immortal Du Nan kept spitting out blood, but he was still thinking about this question. Although Reverend Du Nan's slap was just a casual one, he was quite confident that there were no more than 6 people in the ancient small Jianghu who could react and defend against it. And there were no more than 2 people who could fight back after defending against it. But not only did he not defend himself, he even stretched himself and then fought back. Immortal Du Nan had never heard of such a thing. Immortal Du Nan could not accept the fact that someone he had never heard of appeared in front of him. Yue waved his hand, curled his lips and said, "You're so thick-skinned, old man. My hand hurts. Get up, I haven't had enough fun yet. Ha 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 ha, I must give you full marks for my acting skills. Lin Yi, you little bastard, what do you think?" Yue couldn't help glancing at Lin Yi, only to find that Lin Yi was looking at him with a faint smile. He quivered and thought to himself, I shouldn't be too complacent, or I'll make Lin Yi a little bastard. So Yue smiled obsequiously at Lin Yi, turned around, and ran to Reverend Du Nan. Yue didn't use his full strength just now, because he wanted to keep Reverend Du Nan alive so that he could continue to torture him. What Reverend Du Nan said just now had offended Yue. Didn't he know that only Master Yu could say those words? Unfortunately, it was the first time that Yue had used the power of a cultivator at the mysterious ascension stage, so he didn't know how much genuine qi he should use. Besides, Reverend Du Nan was not prepared at all, so the simple slap made Reverend Du Nan spit out blood continuously. He didn't even have the chance to take a recover pill, and he died before Yue arrived. Fuck, you're not dead, right? Don't die. Yue felt that Reverend Du Nan's breath was disappearing quickly, so he immediately grabbed his collar and slapped him a few times. Then he shouted anxiously, Are you made of paper? You're so weak. I haven't made you feel honored. Don't die. Reverend Du Nan, who was standing on the side, felt cold all over. He wanted to say that even if his senior fellow apprentice was not dead, he would die after being tortured by Yue. However, it seemed that he didn't even have the strength to speak, and could only stand there, trembling. Reverend Du Nan, the most powerful cultivator in the ancient small Jianghu, the leader of the four sects, the Qinkuan sect, was killed by a slap. It happened right in front of them, but everyone felt that it was so unreal. Was it a dream? Was it a dream? Everyone was shocked, and there was no sound. Therefore, Yu Yi's scream and the crisp slap on Reverend Du Nan's face became clearer. Finally, someone came to himself and shouted, "The mysterious ascension stage." The shout seemed to call back everyone's soul. All of a sudden, everyone burst into the strongest sound wave, screaming, roaring, and hysterical shouting. The mysterious ascension stage. The legendary mysterious ascension stage. The legendary mysterious ascension stage that had never appeared in the ancient small Jianghu for thousands of years. In the huge sound wave, Reverend Du Nan's face turned pale, and he was about to fall. He never thought that besides the unfathomable Lin Yi, there was a super powerful cultivator in the mysterious ascension stage in the Green Cloud sect. Why was there a cultivator in the mysterious ascension stage? Had the restriction of the mysterious ascension stage in the ancient small Jianghu been broken? Enough. Lin Yi said lightly. His voice was not loud, but it was clearly heard by Yu Yi through the huge noise around him. Yu Yi's body shook, and he realized that he was now representing the Green Cloud sect. This kind of behavior, which was equivalent to whipping a corpse, was indeed a disgrace to the Green Cloud sect. From Lin Yi's voice, he could feel that Lin Yi seemed to be a little unhappy. It's not easy for me to be happy, but Lin Yi, the little bastard, comes to get in my way again. When I deceive you and increase my level, and get out of your control, I will return what I owe to you today. Yui thought fiercely, but he had already left Reverend Du Nan's body and appeared beside Lin Yi like a flash of lightning. Uncle Master, I have completed my task. I wanted to deal with him a few more times, but I didn't expect that the most powerful cultivator in the nascent soul realm was no different from a piece of paper. Yui bowed and reported to Lin Yi with a big smile on his face. Chapter 56-23. It was fine if they didn't know before, but now even a fool would understand that Yu Yi was a genuine master of the profound ascending stage. However, this master of the mysterious ascending stage talked to Lin Yi so respectfully and flatteringly. He called Lin Yi Grand Master. Lin Yi was also in the mysterious ascending stage. In the world of cultivators, the strong were respected. Even if Lin Yi was really a Grand Master, when the strength of the younger generation reached the same level, they would become the same generation. Yu Yi continued to call Lin Yi Grand Master, which only proved that Lin Yi's strength was above Yu Yi's. However, when they thought about it, it did not seem strange at all. Xianijia and the others in the full cycle of nascent soul realm also addressed Lin Yi as Grand Uncle Master. They did not think about it before and thought that it was just an honorific title for Lin Yi. Now everyone understood that Lin Yi's strength had really surpassed the nascent soul realm. Lin Yi snorted and said, "Don't talk nonsense. You're still the one in the third round. Don't kill him so quickly this time, understand?" Yu Yi was suddenly excited. He quickly patted his chest and said, "Don't worry, Grand Master. I will be careful. I won't kill him so quickly. I will definitely kill him after a while." Tribulation Jinren had been paying attention to the situation here. If he did not pay attention to the appearance of a mysterious ascending stage cultivator, wouldn't he be courting death? When he heard the conversation between Lin Yi and Yu Yi, he was completely dumbfounded. They still want to fight? How to fight? Was he going to be a punching bag to be beaten? The universe step was indeed exquisite and profound, but when the gap in strength was large to a certain extent, no matter how exquisite a martial technique was, it would be useless. It was just like how a supercar, no matter how cool its appearance and performance was, would immediately fall apart and turn into a pile of junk if it was hit head-on by a bulldozer. Xianijia looked at Tribulation Jinren with a smile and squinted his eyes and asked, "Tribulation Jinren, who will be the one in the third round? You won't be the one to fight, right?" "Ha ha ha, if it's really you, then let me give you a piece of advice, hurry up and leave behind your last words." Although this time it's just an ordinary disciple of our sect, and not the number one expert of half-step profound ascension, I'm worried that you won't even have the chance to beg for mercy. Fuck your ordinary disciple, fuck your half-step profound ascension. Of course, a profound ascension expert was not a half-step profound ascension expert. A profound ascension expert was an ordinary disciple? Who are you trying to fool? Immortal Dujia was too tired to complain. He didn't even care about what Enchanting said just now. Now he just wanted to save his own life. After all, no one wanted to die easily after reaching such a high level of cultivation. We, the Heaven and Earth sect, will not participate in the third round. The Heaven and Earth sect will directly admit defeat. Congratulations to the Green Cloud sect for becoming one of the new top 4 sects. Sage Dujia squeezed out an ugly smile, cupped his hands and said insincerely. There was no other way. Facing a profound ascension expert, Sage Dujia did not even dare to think of resisting. If he admitted defeat, he might have a chance to make a comeback in the future. As the saying goes, where there's life, there's hope. Yue was suddenly unhappy. He pulled a long face and pointed at Sage Dujia and said, "Hey, what's your name? Do you have any backbone? How can you do such a thing like admitting defeat? Is the Heaven and Earth sect shameless? Hurry up and let's fight for 300 rounds, I promise I won't kill you." Sage Dujia turned around and left. Facing this kind of shameless profound ascension expert, it was useless to say anything. He couldn't beat him, and if he said too much, he would come up and fight, and then, he couldn't beat him. What else was there to say? Looking at Yue who was cursing on the stage, the onlookers were also dumbfounded. Was this the legendary profound ascension expert? Why did they feel that something in their heart had collapsed? Lin Yi was also speechless. After this Yue changed his face, he really began to be completely shameless. His personality changed a bit too much. Was he schizophrenic? Could it be that little E still had some divine sense? But little E didn't seem to be like this. This was a bit like his master, ancestor Xianchen. After quickly calling Yue back, Lin Yi said to the great elder of the ruins town who was dumbfounded, "The result is out, can you announce it now?" Ah. The grand elder of ruins town looked at Lin Yi, a little dazed. He subconsciously agreed twice before coming back to his senses. But now he was also very embarrassed. The Heaven and Earth sect was no longer the 4 big sects, but the 10 small sections. As the great elder of the ruins town who came from the Heaven and Earth sect, what kind of great elder of the ruins town was he? Lin Yi frowned slightly and also understood the situation of the great elder of the ruins town. He waved his hand casually and said, "You continue to host, anyway, you are familiar with the process, there is no need to add more trouble." Yes, this old man understands. The great elder of the ruins town had a cold sweat on his back. He didn't dare to say anything more. In his heart, he thought that he didn't offend Lin Yi and the Green Cloud sect too much before, right? Would they find fault in the future? The Green Cloud sect challenged the Heaven and Earth sect, best of 3. The Green Cloud sect won and became one of the new 4 big sects. Everyone congratulate them. The great elder of the ruins town took the lead to applaud with a smile on his face, but his heart was bleeding and crying. The Green Cloud sect's ascension was stepping on the corpse of the Heaven and Earth sect. He had to take the lead to applaud and congratulate them. How humiliating. Lin Yi signaled Enchanting, the leader of the Green Cloud sect, to go up and express his gratitude. Enchanting knew that Lin Yi was not willing to do it, so he could only happily go up and thank him. To be able to see the Green Cloud sect become one of the 4 big sects, Enchanting really felt like he was in a dream. A year ago, he was just a low-level Golden Elixir Realm candidate elder in the Green Cloud sect, but now he was one of the leaders of the 4 big sects and families. What could be more unbelievable than this? After a moment, the great elder of the ruins town continued, "The new 4 big sects have been born, now we will begin the ranking of the 4 big sects." Wait, Now that the Green Cloud sect has ascended, our Thousand Blades faction should be able to continue to challenge the four big sects, right? Primordial Invincible suddenly interrupted. Ma Zayden suddenly became anxious. The Green Cloud sect directly challenged the Heaven and Earth sect, and now it was almost certain that they could become the leader of the four big sections. What a joke! If the Green Cloud sect was not the leader of the four big sects, who would be? Of course, this was not the point. The point was, if the Thousand Blades faction wanted to challenge the four big sects, who would be their target? Without a doubt, it would be the close ally of the Heaven and Earth sect, the Five Elements sect. In the past few days, the Five Elements sect and the Heaven and Earth sect often fought against the Green Cloud sect and his partners. The Thousand Blades faction lost their old rival, the Heaven and Earth sect, then only the Five Elements sect was left. Chapter 56-24. The Great Elder of the Ruins Town had been mocking the Thousand Blades sect just now. Naturally, he didn't want the Thousand Blades sect to have a chance to challenge them. However, the Thousand Blades sect and the Jadian sect had a close relationship. Now that the Jadian sect was in power, it didn't seem wise to target the Thousand Blades sect. Anyway, the Qianquan sect had gone down. What did the life and death of the Five Elements sect have to do with him? Thus, the Great Elder of the Ruined Town decided to just pretend to be dead. The Great Elder of the Ruins Town didn't speak, but Chi Dana stood up to support Ma Zayden and said, Master Ma is right. There has never been only one nascent soul stage in the history of the four great sects. So although the Thousand Blades sect is qualified to challenge the four great sects, they are not qualified to become one of the four great sects. Don't you think so, Great Elder? Chi Dana said with a smile. Finally, he threw the topic to the Great Elder of the Ruins Town who was pretending to be dead. Anyway, the Qianquan sect had already gone down. Who cared about the Great Elder of the Ruins Town? It was better to take advantage of him when there was a chance. The Great Elder of the Ruins Town cursed Chi Dana in his heart. But after all, he was the host of the archaic grand meeting. He could only bite the bullet and say, well, the rules do say so. But now the new generation has a new atmosphere. Whether we should continue to abide by the rules of the four great sects can still be discussed. What he meant was, go fight among yourselves. Don't drag me down with you. But this problem was not a problem anymore. Primordial Invincible laughed and said, a nascent soul great perfection is indeed not qualified to be one of the four great sects. But who told you that I am nascent soul great perfection? Everyone was stunned. They looked at Primordial Invincible in confusion. Although they didn't say anything, they already had some bad guesses in their hearts. Then they found that they could get rid of the guesses and directly turn it into a bad feeling. Primordial Invincible looked around proudly, completely unleashing his aura. The powerful pressure he exuded caused everyone present to be unable to muster any thoughts of resisting. Compared to the aura Yue had unleashed earlier, this aura was even stronger. Yue was gnashing his teeth in hatred. He thought that Lin Yi was a little bastard. He actually raised Primordial Invincible to the Profound Ascension stage, and he was even stronger than me. I just became the number one of the world in the archaic small world, and in the blink of an eye, I became the number two. Ma Zayden was really dumbfounded this time. Were the Profound Ascending stage all cabbages planted in the ground now? When the time came, he would be able to casually pull one out? When Invincible Primeval was at the peak of the nascent soul stage, Ma Zayden didn't think that Five Elements sect would be Invincible Primeval's opponent. After all, the challenge rules allowed experts like Invincible Primeval to fight continuously, let alone now. No. If this goes on, the Five Elements sect will be destroyed. Although the Heaven Awakening faction is weaker, the Primordial Invincible is already at the Profound Ascension stage. There is no difference between the Five Elements sect and the Heaven Awakening faction. Because of Lin Yi, the Primordial Invincible will definitely challenge our Five Elements sect. I must think of a way. Cold sweat dripped from Ma Zayden's forehead. Thoughts flashed through her mind, and the expression on her face changed rapidly. Finally, she shouted, "Our Five Elements sect has made an important decision. We will become a subordinate sect of Blue Cloud's sect and learn alchemy from Master Lin. Master Lin's alchemy ability is simply earth-shattering. Today, I, Ma Zayden, will become Master Lin's disciple. Master Lin. Martial Uncle. Please accept disciple Ma Zayden." Spiritual Master Du Jie's eyes turned black. This bastard Ma Zayden was too cunning. He actually came up with such a shameless idea. He was even more shameless than that Yue. Why did Qinkuan's sect choose such a person as an ally? It was normal for them to fail. The primordial invincible primeval was startled. He originally planned to challenge the Five Elements sect. After all, it was second only to Qinkuan's sect that was against Lin Yi. But after Ma Zayden's move, the primordial invincible primeval was a little hesitant. He turned to look at Lin Yi. Lin Yi was also a little stunned. Obviously, he didn't expect Ma Zayden's move. Martial Uncle. Although our Five Elements sect's alchemy ability is a bit poor, we have many alchemists. As long as we can get the guidance of Martial Granduncle, our Five Elements sect's alchemy ability will definitely be greatly improved, so that Martial Granduncle can have more time to cultivate. Martial Uncle, please give me a chance. Ma Zayden completely threw caution to the wind. If she couldn't convince Lin Yi, the Five Elements sect would be kicked out of the top 4 sections. Moreover, Ma Zayden felt that what she said was very reasonable. This was simply a genius idea. Turning crisis into opportunity. In terms of wit, I, Ma Zayden, want to ask who else can do it? Lin Yi pinched his chin and thought for a moment. He couldn't deny that he was moved by Ma Zayden's last few words. Indeed, with the Five Elements sect's help, Lin Yi would be able to save a lot of trouble. Furthermore, in this small world, Lin Yi himself wasn't able to concoct any pills. So, if he accepted Ma Zayden, he would gain a lot of benefits. Therefore, Lin Yi readily nodded and said, "All right, then from today onwards, the Five Elements sect will become our Blue Cloud sect subordinate sect." As soon as these words were spoken, the crowd burst into an uproar once again. A sect of the 4 great sects becoming a sect of another 4 great sects was something that had never happened before. But now, it had been decided with just a few words. Wasn't this a little too hasty? Since Lin Yi had spoken, Primordial Invincible couldn't continue challenging the Five Elements sect. Since he couldn't challenge the Shengguan clan, then there was only the Enlightenment faction left. In order to prevent the Enlightenment faction from joining Lin Yi or the Blue Cloud sect, Primordial Invincible quickly pointed at Qi Danyi and said, "The Thousand Blades sect challenges the Enlightenment faction." The Thousand Blades sect challenges the Enlightenment faction. The rules remain the same. Both sides, please come onto the stage. The great elder of the ruined town immediately announced. He didn't care about the rise and fall of the top 4 sections. Since the Qinkuan sect was already one of the top 10 sects, it didn't matter to him who would come up first. Primordial Invincible stepped onto the stage and nodded at Qi Danyi. "Are you going to come up? Do you want to admit defeat now?" Qi Danyi was stunned, but he knew that Primordial Invincible was right. Facing a mysterious Ascension cultivator, he had to admit defeat before the fight even started. Otherwise, he wouldn't even have the chance to do so. Daoist Du Nan was a living example. Well, he wasn't alive anymore, he was dead. Senior Invincible, it's natural for me to admit defeat, but before that, can I ask you a few questions? Qi Danyi said to Primordial Invincible with a big smile on his face. It seemed like he would do whatever Primordial Invincible wanted to do. Chapter 56-25. Good. Senior Invincible indeed has the demeanor of a senior expert. You are indeed a role model for our generation. Qi Dayuan praised Invincible Primordial once again. Invincible frowned impatiently. What is it? Hurry up and ask. Don't talk nonsense. Chi Denai stopped his flattery and asked slowly, Invincible Senior, I really want to know, how did I break through to the profound ascension stage? You also know that I've been stuck in the nascent soul stage for many years. If you can give me some pointers, I'll be very grateful. It wasn't just Chi Denai who wanted to know, everyone wanted to know. This was related to the interests of everyone in the Jianghu. Invincible didn't look at Lin Yi but shook his head. It's just a coincidence, I won't tell you the process, so you can ask another question. It was related to Lin Yi. Without Lin Yi's permission, Invincible wouldn't tell anyone. There was no need to ask Lin Yi. Chi Denai already knew that Invincible wouldn't tell him the truth, so he shook his head and said with regret, what a pity. If I knew this, maybe I would have a chance to break through to the profound ascension stage. Invincible didn't say anything. In fact, he didn't think that Chi Denai would be able to replicate it. After all, without Lin Yi's pill and lightning punishment, even if he told Chi Denai the truth, he wouldn't be able to break through to the profound ascension stage. 2 more questions. Invincible urged. He didn't have the patience to listen to Chi Denai's nagging. The second question, I want to know, where did you break through to the profound ascension stage? If it's possible, please tell me, and let me go there to look for opportunities. If he could get the answer from Invincible's mouth, it would be a good harvest. But Invincible still didn't answer. That place was chosen by Lin Yi. Who knew if it had any special meaning for Lin Yi? The third question. Invincible said coldly, obviously losing patience with this kind of question and answer. Chi Denai giggled and said, the third question is, can Senior Undefeated tell me how the Thousand Blades sect is preparing to rebuild? In the future, we can talk about the recruitment of disciples. Primordial Invincible opened his mouth to refuse, but Chi Dane quickly said, Senior Invincible, you didn't answer the first 2 questions. You should answer the last one, right? It's not like it's something difficult. There's no way you can't say it, right? Lin Yi frowned slightly. It was obvious that Chi Dana had set a trap for Primordial Invincible to fall into. He really wanted to know the answers to the first 2 questions, but he knew that Primordial Invincible wouldn't say them easily, so it didn't matter whether he got the answers or not. In the end, he added the guilt of not answering the first 2 questions onto the third one, making Primordial Invincible feel bad not answering. As for the third question, it wasn't something that could be answered in a few sentences. Chi Dalei was clearly stalling for time. Was he waiting for a turning point? Or was he waiting for someone to appear? Chi Dalei's plan was good. If it was someone else, they might have chosen to say a few more words because they didn't answer the first 2 questions. Unfortunately, they didn't understand Primordial Invincible. Primordial Invincible only used 1 sentence to dismiss Chi Dalei's explanation. It's a secret of the sect. No comment. Chi Denai was depressed. What was so secret about this? Couldn't he just say a few words? I've asked the 3 questions. Can you admit defeat now? Primordial Invincible asked without changing his expression. He didn't feel embarrassed at all. Senior Invincible, shouldn't you at least answer one of the 3 questions? Chi Denai was still unwilling to give up, but he couldn't help looking around as he spoke. This made Lin Yi even more certain that Chi Denai was stalling for time. Cut the crap. Since you don't want to admit defeat, I'm going to make my move. Primordial Invincible said coldly and raised his hand, ready to attack. Chi Denai was anxious. He wanted to say something, but suddenly, his face lit up with joy. He shouted, it's here. Lin Yi's divine sense had already discovered that there was a flying saucer-like aircraft rapidly approaching Ruin Town. In the blink of an eye, it arrived above Ruin Town. The center. They had finally intervened in the primordial grand meeting. Lin Yi's heart sank. The center's sudden appearance at this time could only mean that things had developed in the worst direction. After the blue flood dragon's gene was extracted, it was used in a mature experiment in the shortest time possible. Therefore, the center's research had already succeeded. The only thing he didn't expect was that the Enlightening Heavens faction would actually make contact with the center. He hadn't noticed any signs of this before. Chi Danii really hid it well. Primordial Invincible looked up at the sky. The flying saucer-like aircraft was hovering right above ruined town. When he looked up, he saw that there was an opening in the middle of the flying saucer. Many figures were jumping out of the opening. The reinforcements of the Enlightening Heavens faction? Do you think you can keep the 4 seats of the Enlightening Heavens faction just because you have more people? Primordial Invincible sneered. In fact, if you had just said that there would be reinforcements, this old man would have waited for you. Why bother talking so much nonsense? Primordial Invincible had just broken through nascent soul stage. He was full of confidence. As long as Chi Danii said that he would wait for someone, Primordial Invincible would indeed wait for him. There was no need to play those boring little tricks. Chi Danii's face stiffened. He ignored Primordial Invincible and turned to the 2 people who landed first. Elder Shui, Elder Qin, I've been waiting for you for a long time. Finally, you're here. Ha 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 ha, the main character will only appear at the last moment. Those small fries are only qualified to warm up the scene for this young master. The one laughing crazily was Lin Yi's nemesis since he came to the ancient Jianghu, Shui Jianfeng. This cockroach-like man with an unkillable attribute had finally jumped out after a period of silence. As for the other person, Lin Yi also knew him. Xianijia and the others were not unfamiliar with him either. He was the original deputy head of Jadian faction, Chen Dongcheng. Lin Yi almost couldn't recognize Chen Dongcheng when he suddenly appeared. Other than the fact that Chen Dongcheng was not a threat to Lin Yi, his entire temperament was completely different. If one didn't look closely, they wouldn't be sure that he was the previous deputy head of Jadian faction. Chapter 56-26. Chen Dongqing laughed and cooperated. What Lin Yi, what Green Cloud sect, they are just trash. How can they compare to our current Xiaoyao? If you like it, Master Shui, you can do whatever you want. Old Chen's words are not very pleasant to hear. Little Lin, don't mind it. Shui Jianfeng smiled and said to Lin Yi, Old Chen did not say that you are trash, he said that you are all trash, don't hear wrong. Lin Yi smiled faintly and said, 2 pieces of trash, did they just crawl out from the garbage dump? What a stinky smell. Shui Jianfeng and Chen Dongqing were already at the early stage of the profound ascension realm, and they did not hold back at all. They thought that they could suppress Lin Yi, but they did not expect that Lin Yi was completely fine, and even mocked them in return. These were people who had suffered a great loss in the hands of Lin Yi, and thinking of Lin Yi's unpredictability, they could not figure out Lin Yi's actual situation, and their arrogance suddenly dropped a lot. In fact, Lin Yi also had a headache at the moment, not because Shui Jianfeng and Chen Dongqing were at the early stage of the profound ascension realm, but because Shui Jianfeng and Chen Dongqing were at the early stage of the profound ascension realm, Lin Yi did not put them in his eyes. The key was that Shui Jianfeng and Chen Dongqing had become profound ascension realm. It meant that the sea beast Blue Jiao had been used for experiments, and he did not know if it was dead or not. If it was dead, then the sea beasts in the endless sea would riot again. As for whether Shui Jianfeng and Chen Dongqing really used the Blue Jiao to reach the early stage of the profound ascension realm, Lin Yi did not doubt it at all, because both of them had the aura of sea beasts, although it was not strong, but Lin Yi's feeling would not be wrong. Cheetah did not see that Shui Jianfeng and Chen Dongqing had some inexplicable fear in their hearts. He only saw the powerful aura of Shui Jianfeng and Chen Dongqing. It was not inferior to the primordial invincible, and even better. And from the flying saucer in the sky, there were still people continuously jumping down, although there were no profound ascension realm masters, but they were all nascent soul realm masters, a total of about 400 to 500. Who knew how the metal disc that did not look very big could hold so many people? Among them, there were at least 100 people who were as strong as Cheetah. 100 nascent soul realm masters. Such amazing strength was enough to sweep all the sects present. Ha 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 ha, our Heaven Awakening faction also has an important decision to announce. However, we are not going to rely on other sections. Instead, we are going to merge with the center and form a new Center Heaven Awakening faction. Chi Dane laughed loudly as he announced. The truth was, as Lin Yi said, they sent 2 nascent soul stage masters, and it was indeed instigated by Chi Danei. Moreover, Chi Danei clearly said that they couldn't touch Lin Yi, so they had to deal with the likes of Thousand Blades faction and Snow Sword faction. At the same time, they could cut off Lin Yi's wings, and at the same time vent their anger. Now that they thought about it, perhaps it wasn't that simple. Lin Yi smiled coldly, glanced at the audience, and continued, "Let me guess, you instigated the Qinkuan sect and the 5 Elements sect. In fact, you also had the intention of weakening them, right? This is a good plan that kills 3 birds with 1 stone. No matter how things develop, you can not only help the center's action, but also weaken the strength of the Qinkuan sect and the 5 Elements sect, and at the same time, attack all the 10 small sects and families. The capture of the Oceanic Beast royalty will definitely cause the Oceanic Beasts to riot. This is your plan. If there is no accident, except for the people of the center, everyone else will be buried in the endless sea." The audience was in an uproar. Lin Yi's words sounded a little unbelievable, but they were completely reasonable. If it weren't for the unexpected factor of Lin Yi, the result would be exactly the same as what Lin Yi said, that everyone who entered the endless sea would be buried in the Oceanic Beasts riot. If things really developed in this way, it would be even easier for the Enlightened Heavens faction to occupy the ancient small Jianghu. As long as the center killed Immortal Du Nan of the Qinkuan sect, there would basically be no obstacles. You're tuning into the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.